Hello everybody, welcome to the Red Devil Experience. How you all doing? My name is Eric. We are here live with the Red Devil Experience. We got a lot of breaking news from Manchester United today. Happy New Year to everybody. First stream of 2025. We're going to get into the transfer news. Obviously, the January transfer window is now officially open. A lot of concern, a lot of debate over can Manchester United do deals in January. Stories coming out saying that they cannot, that we are broke, that we don't have money. Other stories saying that we need to sell to buy. And then other stories linking players to Manchester United as seemingly as that we do have funds. So we're going to break all that down. We're going to get into it. We're going to delve into that stuff. We got a lot of stuff to get to. There's a lot of talk about players such as Marcus Rashford, Casemiro, Antony, Victor Gyökeres, Xerxes, Samu, dalot, Garnacho, etc., etc. So we got a lot to talk about. It's going to be that time of the year, when the January or when the summer transfer market comes around. It gets very busy, a lot of news, a lot of speculation. So it's going to be a good time. I hope everybody had a good New Year's Eve, celebrated the New Year very well. I hope everybody is doing good. Before we get started, before we get into the show, please smash the like button. It helps the channel out massively. So if you could take 2 seconds, hit that like button for me. I greatly appreciate it because it helps the channel a lot. It gets us pushed out more. It helps us get seen. YouTube likes that stuff. And if you're new and you're not a subscriber and you like the community and you want to join the channel and you want to join the community, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you turn on the notification button. It's the little bell icon so that you get notified when we go live. We go live weekly. With that being said, let's get into the first story, which was nothing that I mentioned yet. Small story, little story, but I thought we'd start it off with this. And according to Rich Frey, Manchester United are prioritizing loan exits for academy stars Harry Amos and Dan Gore during the January transfer window. Now, I led with this story because everybody loves the youth. Many people calling for the youth to actually be brought in to Ruben Amorim's current team, considering the way our first teamers are performing and playing. And it seems like these are two that that's not going to happen. They are going to be, or they're being looked to be loaned out, possibly to game, regular first team football at a higher level than the youth academy. And I'm not 100% against this. I think Dan Gore, Harry Amos are two top prospects in the Manchester United Youth Academy right now. Harry Amos hasn't been able to get a look in. I don't really understand why, considering we don't have a left back. Again, I don't know if he is ready. I don't know if he is good enough per se, but the fact that we don't have a left back, or we hadn't have a left back for quite some time, just makes me question why the kid can't even get, 10 minutes in, 15 minutes in, a look in, something, anything. But if that's the case, if he's not ready, if he's not strong enough, if he needs to develop more, well, then let's loan him out. Let's let him get some first team valuable football in a more challenging area than the under 18s or the under 21s. And the same thing for Dan Gore. Dan Gore had an injury. It was medium term. He came back from it. He had surgery. He's been back for a little bit now, and he hasn't really been looking like he's going to necessarily break into the first team as of right now. So let's loan them out. Let's get them some playing time. I'm here because I think at the end of the day, if Manchester United aren't going to hand these kids opportunities, then we need to do what's right as a football club and give these kids some better opportunities to develop and play as many games as possible. Perfect example, or a good example to use, is somebody like Amad Diallo, who looked like he wasn't going to really make it at Manchester United, and we loaned him out. He had an excellent spell at Sunderland, and he came back and he made his way into the first team. So that's the big hope with that, and that hopefully these players can follow a similar route, and I hope that they do. The chat, I don't like this. Grace is in here. Grace is very upset because I put dalot in a Real Madrid kit. We're gonna talk about that. It's not my fault, Grace, okay? It's not my fault. I didn't make the news. So don't be mad at me. Be mad at the news. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just the messenger. But we'll get into that. Lions is in here as well. Lions, how you doing? Ray's in here as well. Lions says no chance Madrid pay 50 million for dalot. One, they can pay that kind of money. Can they pay that kind of money? And secondly, they don't panic buy. Well, we're gonna get into it. I don't necessarily think it would be a panic buy. I think maybe he is genuinely on their list, but he is not their main target. And we're gonna talk about what is the situation that seems to be going on around this whole dalot thing, because this was mentioned a few weeks ago. It seemed like, it was just a random story. There wasn't anything really to it. It kind of died down a little bit. And then in the past week or two, a couple of these stories have popped back up, kind of saying that dalot is of interest of Real Madrid, but there are bumps in the road for that, and it's not as clear cut as it's being made out to be. So we're gonna discuss that. But before we do, the main news, or the bigger news. Oh, I hit the wrong tab. So news that came out today, started off with Ruben Amorim is willing to allow the departures of Marcus Rashford, Antony, and Christian Eriksen on loan in January. That was followed up by Ruben Amorim wants real competition for Andre Onana this year. Altay Bayındır is not considered a credible competitor. Which then goes hand in hand with Manchester United want Gregor Kobel to rival Andre Onana for next season. Amorim highly rates Kobel, and he suggested him to the board for next season. Now, the reason why the headline of the show is for sale is because it seems like at this moment in time, there are more than 4 players that are technically up for sale or available. But it seems like Manchester United may be able to possibly do some type of player sales in January, up to, I would say, maybe 4 players. It would be maybe a little bit less, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3, but I think they could possibly do up to 4. There's many candidates, so we're going to get into that as we go along. But Ray says, I agree with Lionhearts. No one is going to pay stupid for United crap. Well, yeah, but I don't think dalot is necessarily considered crap. I think he's in bad form, and I think he's actually a decent player. So, will we get 50 million for him? Maybe not. Maybe it would be a little bit less, but, I think United, if they were to consider selling Diego dalot, they're asking for 50 million. So, it might be a little bit lower than that. Obviously, you want to ask high and not ask low. So you might price it a little bit higher and agree to a deal a little bit lower. But we'll get to that eventually. Grace says dalot is better than Real Madrid. Statement of the day. Clip it, cut it, put it on social media. Lionheart says, I'm sorry to Grace, but on present form, he's not worth 50 million. On present form, no. I mean, present form in the whole United squad, nobody is worth whatever their valuation is. Everybody is clearly, for the most part, except for maybe like 4 players, is performing way under their value, which is a big issue for United. Again, we have a big problem at Manchester United right now. We have a lot of underperforming players. We have an underperforming team. We have a team that, or a squad of players that does not fit the system of the current manager. We have a thing where we need to do a big clear out, and we actually need to rebuild the squad in a proper way for the first time, since Sir Alex Ferguson, and do it in a proper way. So, there's big things that are a problem. Lion says, bring, how do I get rid of this? Lion says, bring back Vitek. Bring bloody Vitek back. There's your competition. Richard is here as well. Evening, Richard. How you doing? Hope your New Year's was good. Grace says dalot is worth 150 million minimum. I wish he was, Grace. I wish he was. That would be so good. that would fix our problems instantly. Um, I mean, not for you. Your problem is that you don't want Dalot to leave Manchester United, but it would fix our problems instantly. Um, so, but I think it is interesting that and I think we got to keep an eye on in this transfer news. Obviously, Onana has been one of the players that's been in bad form. He had Amar. Uh, you know, I don't know about the Newcastle game because I only watched one half and I didn't see the goals. So I didn't see the first half. I heard it was absolutely awful. It was probably the worst display ever from a Manchester United team. I didn't have the I wouldn't call it the pleasure, but I didn't have the chance to see it. But obviously, the previous match in Wolves, he let in a goal straight off of a corner, and he's been sort of bad. So there's been a lot of discussion and talk that Manchester United need new a new goalkeeper as well. Everybody's talking about we need a whole new squad, which is really I mean it is the real situation of Manchester United at this moment. But it's going to take time. We're not going to be able to do it uh as quickly as people want it to happen. I know that it will take at least 2 to 3 summer windows to get in a team that can actually perform to Ruben Amorim's system and his demands. And it's not just about Ruben Amorim's system and his demands. It's about modern era football. The squad that we have currently at the moment, it's set up for what Erik ten Hag ran in his first season, or how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer set us up in, and that's not the mainstream. Um, that's not the mainstream modern era of football. That's a different type of football that you can play, but it's not the popular go-to nowadays. It's not the football that dominates this era, that dominates and wins and is successful, right? That is what Ruben Amorim is trying to do. That is what Ruben Amorim is trying to implement. That system and that style of play is the dominant, is the mainstream of football, is the one that has been successful in recent times. We don't have a squad that fits that. Now there's talk about Ineos, because it seems like there's a mess of a situation. There was a story that ran today. I think it came from Alex Crooks that said Ruben Amorim was offered to Manchester United in the summer when they were looking at replacements for Erik ten Hag. They turned down Ruben Amorim because, quote unquote, to Alex Crook, saying that Ruben Amorim's system, tactics, style of play did not fit the Manchester United squad, and therefore they rejected him. Fast forward a couple months later, they sack Erik ten Hag and they go and get Ruben Amorim, knowing that his system and style of play does not fit the current squad of players. Anywhere from 80 to 90% of the current squad. So, yeah, there's questions over Ineos as to why they have done the things that they have done. And I think rightfully so, because I think they've made a couple of mistakes. Right now, they're certainly throwing Ruben Amorim under the bus, into the pit of fire. You've brung him in, you've put him in a situation where he's coming to a team that wasn't performing well in the middle of a season that's playing 3 games a week. You don't have time for training. The majority of the squad doesn't fit your system, your style of play. They can't meet your demands. They're not energetic enough. They don't have the technical ability to play that type of football. And you're trying to do your best to implement it in the middle of a season where you're playing 3 games a week. You're behind everybody else. And you're basically doing a preseason in the middle of the season. So he's suffering. He warned us that we were going to suffer. He knew that it was coming. I think it was logical. I think one of the things that I can do is I hold my hands up, and I was one of the people that did believe that we would be able to get a bounce under Amorim. He would be able to up some of the players' performances and form that were certainly lacking under Erik ten Hag. What I guess I overlooked, and I think many of us in the fan base overlooked, is that with him coming in and implementing his style, we didn't really analyze that these players aren't good enough, and therefore it's going to negate any sort of potential bounce or upping in form and the current and the situation that is at hand that I just explained. So it is really a bad situation for Manchester United. I think it's going to continue to be bad because I do fully believe that this is the route we need to go down. We have been papering and covering the cracks for years and years and years. We have not addressed the elephant in the room that everybody knows that exists, that the squad isn't good enough, the squad of players isn't good enough, the squad of players was not built correctly, it was not built for the modern era of football, a modern play style, and we have been ignoring that for years. We have sacked numerous amounts of managers, we have brought in tons of players, burned a ton of money on stupid signings, on signing players for stupid amounts of money that didn't fit an overall project, and every single time it has collapsed. And when it collapses, all we do is sack the manager. We don't replace any of the players. We add to the shit that is the collection of our squad of players, and we think it's going to improve, and it doesn't. Because what happens is when we add new players to the shit that we have, they get covered in the shit as well, and they become part of the problem. And that merry-go-round of destruction needs to stop. It needs to stop, otherwise nothing will change. So, I liken it to a situation that's not a nice situation, but it's like when somebody is addicted to drugs or something, and they don't accept that they are actually addicted to it, and therefore they never actually confront it. And they keep going around in the same type of the same type of, sort of routine until one day they, things around them come crashing down, or they determine that, you know what, I've been lying to myself and I need to confront this head on. And when you confront things head on, it's difficult, it's hard, it's a struggle, it's stressful, it's a hard, difficult process to go through. And I think that's what we're going through right now. Manchester United, with these group of players, cannot play a modern attacking style, high energy level of football. Ruben Amorim is here. We are suffering embarrassing defeats and losses, and it's not even necessarily because we're getting outplayed. We're in some games, we're not even necessarily getting outplayed. We are just suffering left and right of different types of things, corners, just stupid, dumb stuff. But we need to go through this road and path of pain to get to the other side and to finally get out of this darkness. Because if we don't do this, we're gonna just keep going around and around in the same circle. What's gonna happen is we're gonna end up sacking Ruben Amorim. We're gonna bring in another manager. He's gonna set up the team to play in a certain way. Now, if he plays it to conform the team, we've been here before. We've had managers that have conformed to the team. What did that team succeed in? Where did that bring us to? It didn't bring us to where we want to be. It didn't bring us to a consistency level of top 4. It didn't bring us far into the Champions League. It didn't make us title contenders in any way or title challengers. Every single time it has collapsed. He is doing the opposite, and this is why I know it's bad, and it's gonna be bad. I don't think we'll get relegated, but we're going to be in and around anywhere from 8th place to 14th place. And I think we need to accept that. The fan base needs to accept it. And we need to prepare ourselves to actually go through a real rebuild. And a real rebuild is difficult. It's hard. It's not easy. It's not an easy process. It's a rough process. There's a lot of bumps in the road on the way. But it is the proper way. And it is the only way that Manchester United will get back to being a serious football team. Otherwise, we're just going to continue what we've done for the past 10 years, and we'll replicate it for another 10 years, and we will go absolutely nowhere other than backwards. We will not make progress. So, yeah. Lyle's in here as well. Lyle, good to see you. But if true, 50 for Dalot, 60 for Garna, then I say do it definitely. Well, these are the options and these are the things that the club has to certainly contemplate, and they're in charge and they're the ones that make the decision, and this is what they are there for. But as fans, these are things that we have to consider as well. We are aware of the situation, as I just outlined it, of what Manchester United currently finds itself in. That is the dark truth. It is a painful truth. It's hard to swallow. But we look at it and we go, well, it's maybe not just the bad players. It's not just the Rashford or the Casemiro or maybe a Lindelof or an Eriksen. It might have to be a player like Dalot or a Garnacho, to a certain extent, for different various reasons. For example, I think Garnacho, young kid, I don't want to give up on him. I don't think it's right for the fans to give up on such young players. But if we're going forward with this system and this style of play, he doesn't seem like he fits it very well. He doesn't seem very comfortable. Every time I've seen him come on since he's been dropped, he looks nothing like how he was performing previously. He's having very to little impact on the pitch as compared to before, when he was having very big impacts on the pitch and he was very important to the squad in the attacking role. And I don't necessarily want to sell Alejandro Garnacho because I think he has a very high potential and I think he can be a good player, and he's still very young and still has a lot of time to develop. But if somebody is willing to pay 60 million for Garnacho and we need to do a rebuild, then, and we don't have money and we need to sell to do this rebuild, then we may have to seriously consider doing deals like that as well. I think we need to clear the shit, and then we might have to do some deals on the side that we are reluctant to do as a club, but also as a fan base. Even for me, Diego Dalot is a player that I like. I think he's good. He's struggling, but who in the team isn't struggling right now? There's tons of players struggling. There's tons of players underperforming. Dalot is very far down on the list of a player that I would put that needs to be sold. But if a team like Real Madrid come in and they say, we'll give you 50 million for Diego Dalot, then we might have to consider doing such a deal because we need money and we need to rebuild this squad properly. But we're going to get on to more of that because there's the updates around it. So Gray says Amorim shouldn't get any money. He's got to prove himself first. We have good players and he should focus on getting more out of them. I get what you mean, Grace. And that does make sense in a way. There's issues around that, in that he needs funds. He needs players to come in. And this is where Ineos steps in, because Ineos, part of their job is to create a game model with the manager. And one of their promises, and I'm going to keep mentioning this because this was one of the big things that Manchester United fans have been asking for and that Manchester United fans want. And that is that regardless of who the manager is, we should have an identity of a play style and a culture. And if a manager gets sacked, it should mean that our whole identity and culture doesn't just disappear with that manager. They need to start that process now, and I think maybe they started it in their first window under Erik ten Hag with the transfers that they brung in. They need to follow through on that, because they should be bringing in players that Amorim can use and it fits Amorim's system. And if they've decided to go down this path of this is this type of football that they want to play, forget the formation, right? Forget the 3-4-2-1, whatever it is, because the formation at the end of the day is very changeable. Manchester City they line up on paper in a 4. When they play, they have a 3 back. It's very interchangeable. The shapes on the field change constantly. But there should be a certain type of player with a certain type of work rate and a certain type of ability that is brung into Manchester United that Ruben Amorim can use. And potentially, if Ruben Amorim does not succeed and is replaced, then the next manager can kind of follow in the footsteps of Ruben Amorim, play a similar style of football, or that style of football, maybe have a different type of formation, but you play in that manner. So does Ruben Amorim get handed all the cash and just buy whoever you want? No, because it should be a club structure between our heads of the club and Ruben Amorim. But he does need reinforcements, because it's clear and obvious that these players cannot do what he's asking to do. And while there are some players that I think they will come out on the other end and they will be able to stay and they will be able to perform in there, right now it's a big transition period. We're in the middle of the season. We're not getting the proper and necessary training that you would get when you hire a manager at the end of May and you have 2 months to do a preseason and get all these basics in. I mean, Harry Maguire, as much as he's been good ever since he lost the captaincy, just as an example, in the Newcastle game, Harry Maguire takes the ball, carries it up, gets to almost the midfield line, goes to make a 10-yard pass out to the left to, I believe it was dalot, and passed the ball to Ruben Amorim and kicked it out of bounds. Things like that you cannot be doing as a professional footballer. Ruben Amorim cannot be doing basic training when he has 1 training a week with the players right now. He cannot be doing 5 10-yard passes. He cannot be going in training telling them, all right, you and you are going to be 5 yards apart and you're going to pass the ball back to each other 1,000 times. Because he needs to implement his system. He already doesn't have enough time. These footballers should be able to do 10-yard passes. You're a professional footballer. And this is the large scale of the problems that we have that's going on. Because there's so many across different types of areas. Ray says the club has to move players. We bought players, but we didn't move enough players out. Yes, I think that is one of the big things. We bring in, again, for me, 4 very good out of the 5 players, very good signings. I'm very happy with the signings. I think the signings are excellent. So far under Ineos, right? I look forward to seeing what kind of signings we're gonna get going forward. I hope they continue I hope they can replicate what they did in their first window. One of the things that I was sort of unhappy about was I was looking for kind of a Casemiro to be sold, maybe a Rashford, maybe an Eriksen, maybe a Lindelof, maybe a Maguire at that time, some other players. I was looking for those players to really be sold. They struggled. They tried. There was apparently no offers or no good offers for Casemiro. They tried to shop Rashford. They didn't get any real good offers that they liked, apparently, for Marcus Rashford as well. But at some point, Ineos, I think they have to accept that, at some point you have to say, screw it. We need to move. We can't be sitting here waiting for these players to get an uptick in form or something, so that we can garner a little bit of interest. And that's why there's been mentions about players going in January as loans to buy. Something similar to what we did with Jadon Sancho, which I think is probably our best move for players that are struggling to garner interest, like a Marcus Rashford at this current moment. Casemiro has some high interest in Saudi Arabia, with numerous Saudi Arabian clubs looking at him. So I think maybe that one might solve itself out, which is good. But there's some other players, even like an Antony, that nobody's necessarily going to buy him, but we can loan him out, maybe with an obligation to buy, because teams might also be low on funds in January. It's not an easy period to do the best business. Some teams don't have money in January. They get money at the end of the year, or they get money from sales that they do in the summer window. So there's always a lot more money in the summer than there is in January, which is why the January window is so difficult to do deals in. But again, you have to make the moves that you can make, and this is what Ineos needs to do. So Lions saying we definitely need to move some players on. I mean, we still have players from LVG era, and up to last season we had players from Sir Alex Ferguson era. Well, we still have one from Sir Alex Ferguson era. His name is Johnny Evans. But no, yeah, I mean, that is one of the main issues of Manchester United, is that we don't move on these players. It's a waste of wages. It's a waste of squad space, and it doesn't help the team because clearly these players need to be moved on. They're clearly not good enough. And what happens is, I see a lot of people that were going at Amorim for playing Eriksen and Casemiro in the midfield starting against Newcastle, and everybody's calling them crazy. And I get that because we're all aware they don't have the legs, they don't have the energy, they're going to get beat, they're going to get destroyed. The problem with that is we are playing 3 matches a week. People were complaining about Kobbie Mainoo. People were complaining about we overplayed him. Well, we have to overplay Kobbie Mainoo. You can't have it one way or the other. We either overplay Kobbie Mainoo and we don't play Casemiro and Eriksen, or we try and rotate the squad because we don't have the depth in the squad properly. You get, we're missing Bruno, we're Mount unavailable, and then we have Kobbie and Ugarte. And Ugarte wasn't available, so you lose Ugarte and you have Mainoo. So you could play Mainoo every single match going forward, right? But then what happens if Mainoo gets an injury? Then we're down to just Casemiro and Eriksen. Well, then what do you do then? You're forced to play them. And what are you going to do out of that? Because they're not going to perform. They're not good enough, which is why we need to get rid of them and we need to get proper replacements in. We have a squad that we can't even use properly. And this is another problem that is leading to Manchester United's bad performances. Grace says Amorim played Casemiro and Eriksen, like I just mentioned, against Newcastle, now wants a ton of money. Falls out with Rashford. Don't rate Garnacho. Plays my babe dalot at left wing, and plays Casemiro alongside Eriksen. Well, listen, the whole thing with Rashford, the fan base has been asking for this, no? And you're one of them, Grace. You want Rashford sold. So on that part, I think most people are okay with whatever it is. Has he had a necessary? I don't think it's necessarily a fallout though, like between like how Erik ten Hag and Sancho had their fallout. I think Ruben Amorim didn't. I mean, he said it from the very start. He said, "I'm not going to accept selfish players. I want players that play for the team. If you do selfish actions, you won't play. If you don't hold up to the standards of everybody else, you won't play. And I won't be afraid to take you out." And clearly, it wasn't just Marcus Rashford. It was Garnacho. They're both similar players. They're both fairly selfish in their own ways. Marcus Rashford doesn't track back. He doesn't want to track back. That's unacceptable in Ruben Amorim's system and team. You need to run back. I mean, Amad Diallo does it very well, and that's why he plays and he performs very well. But with Marcus Rashford, I would say he dropped him to give him a warning, and Marcus Rashford then came out and said, "I want to leave the club," and therefore, I can't necessarily say that Ruben Amorim created a fallout with Rashford. He dropped him out of the squad like he did Garnacho. Garnacho didn't come out and say he wanted to leave. Garnacho has come back into the squad. Does he start? Not necessarily, but he's making cameos. He's getting chances to prove himself. He's getting chances to put himself back in there. But he's not necessarily taking them. Marcus Rashford came out and said his response to that was, "I want to leave Manchester United." What do you do with a player that you drop for player reasons? You want him to be good. You want to maybe use him. You want him to prove to you that he is good enough. You want him to up himself and kind of take that kick up the ass and use it as, fuel to better himself. And instead of that reaction, he's basically come out and say, "I'm quitting on you. Screw you." You have to then leave him out of the squad. Rashford has his part to play in that as well. So, but Grace says he needs to make better decisions and show he can adapt. Well, I think you are right. But again, this is a difficult period. He's been here for 1 month. He inherited, in my opinion, a mess. He walked into a shit show. And along with all the other complications, it's just piled on and it's turned into what I would call a shit storm, to use a little bit of his words. So, Ray says, I don't understand anymore. Was a disgrace under Erik Ten Hag to finish 8th, and it's okay under Amorim to finish 14th. We should keep Erik Ten Hag till the end of the season. Well, it's not necessarily okay to finish 14th, Ray, you know, and it was a disgrace, Manchester United's terms, to finish 8th, even though, again, we were here saying that, there was complications to the squad in terms of injuries and stuff like that. So, it was marred by injuries, which didn't help. And we were only a few points off of top 4. If we had more of our starters available, or we had more players available for more parts of the season, we may have been able to get some of those points and been higher than 8th. But the situations are different. And I think people, some of the things that happens in the fan base is everything gets kind of just mushed together like tie-dye. It gets all combined into one. And what I like to tend to do is I try to separate these things. It's not okay for United to finish 14th, but it is the reality of the situation. And we can't run around like chickens without a head thinking that we should be in top 4. We're well aware of the problems. The thing is that United have to move forward after this period. This current moment that we're in is it's a very bad moment. We're gonna struggle till the end of the season, till the season ends. If I could right now, I'd press a button. The season would be over for Manchester United. We'd finish in 12th or something, and we go and we start from the new season, because from the new season is the only place where real hope is probably going to come from, because that's where the proper things can be done by Ruben Amorim, training the players and the squad, getting in some new players that will help us out, perform better and stuff like that. Right now, we're in a very sort of helpless situation, and Amorim has kind of been thrown into it. Again, a lot of managers, they don't tend to join many clubs in the middle of the season because they know this situation is not going to be good for them. They're not going to be able to get players in. It's very chaotic. And you don't have the time to do what you need to do. That's why a lot of managers move in the summer, because they know that they will have the time to do the proper things that they need to do to have the squad in some sort of shape that resembles the squad that they want by the time the season starts, and then they can continue to grow and build on that as the season continues. He doesn't have that luxury. I blame Ineos for that, because they really forced Ruben Amorim's hand. Ruben Amorim wanted to come to Manchester United for whatever his reasons are. He's a secret United fan, whatever it is. He wanted Manchester United, because you don't leave Sporting when you are first and undefeated. You had a good chance of going very far in the Champions League, taking Sporting very far in the Champions League, something that hasn't been done for quite a long period of time. He would have won the Portuguese league again, hands down. So the success was there, and it was ready for him. He didn't have to move. He was very comfortable. He moved because Ineos and Manchester United told him, if you don't come now, you're not coming at all, because we are hiring a manager right now and we are starting this process now. They forced his hand. They threw him into a shitstorm. Because, in my opinion, if you're going to do that, that's one thing. But to do that, knowing that his system and his style of play does not fit 80% of your current squad, and then you turn around to him and go, oh, by the way, in January, we're completely broke, so we might not be able to get you any players in unless we sell some players, but we have a hard time selling players because all our players are shit or on high wages and nobody really wants them. So we might not be able to get you any reinforcements at all. You've thrown Ruben Amorim into a water that you threw blood all over the place, and then threw him in the center of it with a bunch of sharks and said, go ahead and try and survive. And you can, and I feel bad for Amorim in that scenario, because you're ruining Ruben Amorim's record. You're ruining Ruben Amorim's image because of incompetence and lack of planning, and and it has almost nothing to do with him. The only thing that he can do, that a lot of people are arguing, is saying that he should change the formation and he should change the style of play and, play some other way so that we can get some points and we can heal a little bit. But the problem with that is then when you look at the longer term goals, we're going to suffer for it because, I mean, he mentioned it the other day. He said, I will continue with this to the end. He said, if I change, he said, that is the end. And it's very true. How many managers have we had? When Solskjaer started switching to a 5-back, it was the end for Solskjaer. When Mourinho did it, it was the end for Mourinho. When Ten Hag did it, it was the end for Ten Hag. When you start playing survival football, it is the end of that manager. So for him to switch now, it will be the end of him. The only thing he can do is take the gamble, take the risk, take the hit, and continue with what he's doing. And it's going to be hard, and it's going to be rough, and it's going to suck because we're going to get exposed, and we might be able to get some good results here and there, but in large parts, it's going to be very difficult because this is the proper process that we have to go through. We have to go through this process. We have not done this, and we have gone nowhere. So why not give it a shot? Why not? I don't think we'll get relegated. I know it looks very bad. I don't think we will, because I think we will get some uptick in performances. Before we hit this period, it wasn't all bad. Now, we got to play Liverpool. I don't expect to win. I expect to lose. We might lose by a large margin. We might lose by a small margin. We have to play Arsenal in the FA Cup. We will probably lose that match too, because right now we're kind of on the floor. And those are the biggest games that you can play, and they're far ahead of us. So those matches. But at some point, I expect something to turn, something to change. We need where we'll get some points, we'll get some results, but it's going to be a very up and down, good and bad, good and bad, good and bad. I don't think we'll ever hit a period where we go on a run of 4 or 5 games. If we do, that's absolutely fantastic. I'm going to be ecstatic about it. I don't see it right now, but we got to wait and see what happens in January as well. Ray also says, bring a manager in the middle of the season and then don't back in with players. Well, that's what we were just talking about. So, Lyle was saying to Ray, it was definitely a disgrace last season and will be even worse if we finish in the bottom half this year. However, I personally am tired of changing managers, so Amorim as my full backing. And I think that's where many of us, and I think where the majority, I would hope, because I think the minority that's screaming at Ruben Amorim, I do believe they are the minority, and I think the majority are fully aware that, hey, many of you were saying Rashford is a problem and Bruno is a problem, and the story ended there. I think the majority of the people are saying and were saying that that is not where the story ends. It's not one player. It's not 2 players. There's a lot of players. There's a big process that needs to happen at this club. There's a lot of things that need to be corrected. There's a lot of things that need to be changed for Manchester United overall to become a better team. But in my opinion, and I think in many others, it starts with the players, because it is something that has gone unaddressed for far too long through far too many managers. And I, like Lyle and many others out there, we are personally tired of changing managers, and that's why Amorim does have our full backing. I told my friend the other day, I said at this moment in time, I said, you can do whatever you want. You can judge Ruben Amorim however you want. You can have whatever opinion you want. But for me, there's nothing that you can say to me, there is nothing that you can tell me that is going to make me put any type of blame on Ruben Amorim. Can I criticize maybe a decision he does? Okay, sure. Was it foolish for Casemiro and Eriksen to start? Yes, because we all know how that was going to turn out. But in the overall grand scheme of things, that's a very small, that's a drop in the ocean type of thing. I'm looking at the bigger picture here. I'm looking at the bigger story. And it has nothing to do with Ruben Amorim currently at the moment. He's been here for a month. Again, he's walked into a shit show, and the cards are stacked against him, just like every other manager that's come into Manchester United previously before him. It's he has a job to do, but he cannot do the job unless the people above him, aka Ineos, do their job and help him and give him the proper tools. Otherwise, they're wasting their time, Amorim's time, and everybody else's time. So I'm looking at them. I'm looking at the head of the club to do their job first. And when we get that stuff in order, then I will start looking at Amorim more scrutiny, with a closer eye on him and the things that he's actually doing. But at this moment in time, in this season, I can't put really any blame on him. I can't say if he's going to be good enough or not. I can't say that he needs to get sacked. Because again, Ineos were the ones that decided to not change the manager in the summer. Ineos were the ones that they backed Erik ten Hag and bring in players. Ineos were the ones that decided to then sack Erik ten Hag in the middle of the season. And Ineos were the ones that decided to bring in Ruben Amorim. That is all on Ineos. So, they got to live and die by that. And the only way that they can live by it is to do the proper things, bring in some players, move on some players. That is their job. That is why many people wanted them here. That is what many people are asking them to do, is to fix the football side. That is their main and only sole focus, is to do the proper job. And that is to get rid of the dead weight, to get rid of players that don't fit the game model, and bring in players and create a new identity and a new playing style for Manchester United. And that's where we are now. That's where we find ourselves. Excuse me if I miss some of the chat, because this thing is jumping all around. Guys, can you please smash the like button for me if you can? We have 24 viewers in here. Please, it helps the channel grow, and I greatly appreciate it. And if you're new and you're enjoying the content, get involved in the chat. Everybody has a say. I'll read you out. And subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and hit the notification bell as well. Very good discussion so far. We got a lot more to get to, so we'll get there. Let me just go through the chat a little bit more. Let me find where I am. Lyle says what we are going through is unfortunately necessary. And that's kind of the message that I'm hitting home right now. It is unfortunately necessary because we have not dealt with this properly, in a proper way, in a proper manner, for numerous amounts of years. It is time that we do it. It is time that we hit it head on. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be rough. It's not an easy thing. But we need to address it. If we're going to go anywhere, if we're going to move forward, if we're going to progress, if we're going to grow, we need to hit this head on. So it is unfortunately necessary, because this should have been done a long time ago, and we had many different opportunities to do it, and we kept ignoring it. It's like if you have an illness or some type of health problem, and you just kind of ignore it for years, until to the point where you can't really ignore it, and then when you go to address it, instead of maybe a minor surgery to get it corrected, you now have to do a major surgery. You've made it worse, and the pain to now correct it is going to be much more. It's going to be much greater, and it's going to be a much greater process to go through it and rectify it and make it better and turn it into a positive situation from a negative situation. So, it is just that bad. Lion says, if we can just get a decent midfielder in January and someone who can help Højlund, even just on loan. Well, apparently Ineos don't want loans. Apparently Ineos, if they're going to do deals, they're looking to bring in permanent deals, which is good. I would say to Ineos, you should also be looking at deals like how we're looking at to sell some of our players, where you're doing a loan to buy. We should be looking at maybe loans to buy as well. If we don't have the money right now, we should be looking to see if we can loan in a player to buy them in the summer when we have funds available. It'll buy us some time. You can get the player in. You can have this integration period as well through this period, the remaining of the season, and um you can add players to the squad, and it'll help Amorim, and it'll help Manchester United. So they should be looking at those types of deals as well. Lion says, not only has Amorim inherited a poop show, so have Ineos. Well, they have as well, but that's up for debate between a lot of Manchester United fans. There's a big argument about, they pretty much saved the Glazers and got in bed with the Glazers. I have a bit of a discrepancy with that because I really don't believe that the Glazers were ever looking for a full sale. I don't think that they were ever going to give it to Qatar. I feel like they used Qatar to get the valuation of a partial bid up. But that's a whole nother story, a whole different argument for another time. But yeah, there's many fans out there that believe and they hate Ineos and they blame Ineos because they view it in their eyes that if it wasn't for Ineos, the club would have been sold to Qatar. I personally don't think so because I know the Glazers, I know their greed, I know how they view Manchester United. It is an asset. You don't give up an asset. It is a money-making machine for them. It has been. It's a cash cow, and it's automatic money. They don't even necessarily operate it, and it makes money for them. And the club has been shit for 10 years, and they're still making money off of it. So, why would you sell that when you can just hold on to it and continue to make money? So I don't necessarily think that was ever a thing, but that's for a different story. We have more updates on players that I'm going to get to in a second. So, Ineos doesn't have the money to take United to the top. Ineos operating from a scared position. Well, yes, but again, the deal is the deal is a messed up deal because they might not necessarily have the money, but also there's the aspect of why they're going to put they've put in a bunch of money already themselves. Why are they going to put in even more money when the Glazers still own the majority of the club? Why are they going to erase the Glazers' debt when the Glazers are still there? So there's a lot of semantics that are in this that make it a very difficult situation. Not black and white. There's too many different things that butt heads with each other and makes this a very difficult thing to try and operate. But I don't have like the utmost sympathy for them because they decided to come in here. So they knew what the situation was and they know that they need to deliver. So whatever it is that they got to do it. While understanding the situation as a whole. But listen, they still have a job to do. They're the ones that got involved. They're the ones that wanted to come in. So they're going to be held accountable for that, and rightfully so. They need to be. Lion says, like the video, people. Yes, please like the video. Jeff Hutchinson says, promote some youth players. Well, yeah, you know what? I was thinking about this the other day, Jeff, because my chat, the chat and the community were saying this the other day, and I think a lot of people in the United fan base are saying that, it's a lot of talk of saying, bring these 4-5 youth players in and play them instead, because they can't be as bad as these players. And this was maybe like 2-3 matches ago. I was a bit hesitant. My opinion of it was, I understand that. I want the youth to come through. I think we should be using the youth. But the way I was looking at it is like, right now the first team is very unstable. It's a mess. It's not an environment for these young youth players that haven't played professional matches, that haven't played first team football, that could be thrown into, because it's almost a similar thing of how I described the situation of what Amorim has been thrown into, where it's like you're taking a bunch of kids and you're throwing them into blood-covered water infested with sharks, and you're going to tell them, now try and perform. And they're going to be eaten alive by this monster that is Manchester United. But the circumstances surrounding the club, I'm having a bit of second thoughts that it may very well come down to the fact that Amorim may be forced to do that, because if 80% of this squad cannot play, and it's not even that they can't play. Some of them don't have the work rate, some of them don't have the technical ability. Some of them aren't giving the even the minimum effort to even wear the kit. And at least some of those players, you bring in these youth players, they're not going to butt heads with Ruben Amorim. They're going to do exactly what they're told. They're going to be thankful to Ruben Amorim for giving them a chance. They're going to fight for him. They're going to bleed on the pitch for Ruben Amorim, because they don't have an ego. They're just happy to be there, and they want to take their chance, and they want to make something of it, and they want to develop. And if we can't manage to get players in January, then he may hit a point where he has to drop a good amount of these underperforming starting players and play these youth players, because it might be the only chance that he gets. So, I worry about the youth players, because I try to look out for them. But in this situation, he did something similar like that to Sporting, because Sporting was in a lack of funds. Their players were in a similar mess to ours, where they were underperforming, or they were very bad, or they couldn't play the football that he needed from them. They didn't do a lot of business in January and stuff like that. And what he ended up doing was he ended up calling a bunch of youth players. He dropped some first team players completely, just either to the bench or out of the squad, and he went with the youth players, and he rebuilt it from there, until they got, to a summer window, and they were able to rebuild it even further. So Gray says, Eric, do you think if we can start winning games, maybe 5 in a row, do you think we can go on a title charge? We're only 23 points behind, 19 games still to go, so plenty. I think you're dreaming, Grace. No, we wouldn't even be able to get to top 4. I think right now what we really have to focus on is just trying to get the team to perform the best as possible, and get whatever positive results we can get along the way. I think this season is well in the Premier League is well and done. I don't. We're not going to be able to reach top 4. I don't even, top 6 is a big ask. Maybe we needed to not be in Europe. Although we need the money, so it's a difficult situation that we can't really afford to take the hit in terms of financial aspects. But there was a few clubs that did stuff like this. Chelsea was one of them. Liverpool was one, but they weren't outside of Europe. But Arsenal was the main one, where they finished 8th and they weren't in Europe, and it allowed them to structure the squad a little bit better. So maybe it's something that we need. We've been in Europe for the past 10 years, and we go from Champions League to Europa League, and it makes it a struggle for us. And it creates instability in some cases, because we're playing large amounts of matches, and we don't have the squad to compete. So maybe we need to be outside of Europe. Maybe that's an unfortunate necessity, like Lyle mentioned earlier. So Richard says, sorry guys, I have visitors. Everyone stay safe. Talk to you all soon. Well, thank you, Richard, for stopping by. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you later. HK is in here saying Ineos are partners. Remember, Glazers want to suck the club so dry, then leave the mess to someone else. Well, that's what they're going to exactly do, HK. And technically, yes. I mean, by the deal that is struck, they are partners, because they own a percentage of the club, and the Glazers sold them their shares to them and gave them, power and some type of an ownership. So in a way, in the way, yeah, that is what they are. They are technically partners. Albeit, it is painted that they operate the football side and the Glazers are doing the commercial side. But one thing that I would say is a lot of the news coming out is that, like, Sir Jim and Ineos are cutting, money to the Manchester United Foundation for the ex players that may have not ever played for the club, players that don't have money or are struggling in life. This was a charity of 40,000 a year that helps a lot of people that are not well off, that may have been associated with the club, and other cost cutting measures. Now, my question to that is, what do those things have to do with the football side of the club? Because those aren't necessarily footballing decisions. Those are, club decisions. Those are overall club decisions of where this money is going. How does that necessarily have anything to do with the football side of stuff? So if they're cutting that, or their name is being thrown to it, and that's the Glazers are doing it, there's a lot of weird things. We don't actually know how the club is necessarily running. There's a bunch of journalists that have told us the club is running in a certain manner. They don't know. We don't know. We're just going off of what they're telling us, but they don't know for sure because no one ever really told us, and they're not really privy to that information. So, because Manchester United hasn't made it available to them, so a lot of it is guesswork, and we don't actually know how this club is being run. So it's very it's very strange. It's a hard thing to navigate. We do our best with the information that we're given, but we don't know the full details. I find it very strange that, like, Sir Jim and Ineos are cutting, I don't know, like certain staff that they might not necessarily have to do anything with the football side of stuff. Like, how are they, since when did they have that power when they only have the football side? So it's a very strange dynamic. It's I don't know. Axe is in here. Axe says Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Axe. Axe says Amorim shouldn't get money for transfers. Well, that's what Grace was saying. He should prove himself in the EPL first with the current squad. Well, that's what Grace said, and my response to that was, I may be a fair point, but again, I would say the overarching thing is that Ineos and the manager are supposed to work together to build the playing style and create an identity. And therefore, one of the things that Ineos said is that they were going to create an identity and a game model that, regardless of the manager, it would be Manchester United's identity. And we were going to stop conforming directly and solely to just managers' identities. So that way we wouldn't have the problems of going from a Van Gaal to a Mourinho to a Solskjaer to a Ten Hag, where they were all different, and they all wanted different players, and they all bought different players, and it was all just, every time you fire a manager, you rip it up and start over again. So while maybe Amorim shouldn't necessarily get money, we can't not get players for Ruben Amorim. And I would say solely because if Ineos have decided that this is the game model and this is the play style that they want, then this should be technically irrespective of Ruben Amorim himself. If this is what it is and this is what they set on, and they're not going to rip it up, and this is the way forward for them, then they should be able to bring in players that Ruben Amorim can use, and that these players will be able to be used after Ruben Amorim. If he's sacked, if he leaves, if he walks, whatever it is. Because this shouldn't be we're buying players for Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim has all the say, and he's dictating all the players we're buying, and Ruben Amorim goes, and then we end up in the same mess that we just ended up in. So, excuse me. So, in my opinion, we can't just not get players in for Ruben Amorim. We have to. Otherwise, we might as well sack Ruben Amorim, have no manager at all, make one of the players a player manager, and just stay like that. Because, what are we doing then? We're not going to get any reinforcements for this new manager that they've clearly brung in and put him in a horrible position, because nobody can play his play style. The squad doesn't fit it. You know, we have to make moves. We can't just sit here and be like, well, we have to wait for the manager to prove himself. No, we got to get in players, and this is what I'm saying. The overall arching project is, if Ineos has decided this is the game model and this is the play style, then they have to get players. They have to. They cannot just be like, well, we can't get players for Amorim because he has to prove himself in the EPL. It doesn't make sense. If we're doing that, we're operating the same way that we were sort of operating previous Ineos. And in fact, it would be worse, because at least previous Ineos, they'd get in a manager and they'd buy a bunch of players based off of whoever the manager wanted. This would be, we're bringing in a manager, we're going to make you prove yourself. We're not going to get you any players. But we're not in that situation, because Manchester United, the squad that we have, was not built for Ruben Amorim. So you got to build it. So therefore, you have to get in players. HK says, Ineos don't want to sell. We're not a selling club, but a buying club. I'm convinced we money launder. Well, we do. We definitely certainly operate like a business club. Like a business club, like a business and not a club, not a football club, HK, because you don't do things that we do. And, you know, we've had great discussions about, we've had great discussions about how the Glazers view players as assets, and you don't, if you sign a player for overinflated price like Harry Maguire at 100 million, it boosts the club's value overall, which is what their goal is to do anyways, to get the valuation as high as possible, and they don't view it from a footballing aspect. The hope was that Ineos might change some of that. I still think maybe it's a little bit too early. Let's see if they can move some of these players on, but we haven't been a selling club for years. It's a huge issue, and if we're going to succeed, and if Ineos is going to do anything different to the Glazers, that's the one major thing that they can do, is actually sell, and and start being a bit of a selling club. So Axe says this is completely on Ineos. They should have either sacked Erik ten Hag during the summer, hire Amorim then, or support Erik ten Hag. Well, I do agree with you, Axe, because they are the ones in charge. They are the ones that made these moves. This is on them. They have done what they've done. And, in hindsight, because we're sitting here from a position looking at it, and we're looking at it and we're like, well, it's turned into a right fucking mess. Yeah, I mean, one of those three, they certainly have made a messy situation into a messier situation. And this is why I can't go at Ruben Amorim, because the people above him have created the mess that he has stepped into. They have created this situation, and they can rectify the situation by doing things that they need to do, but they have created this situation 100%, because they should have either sacked Erik ten Hag in the summer and allowed a manager to come in and have the proper time to start their new, or they should have either continued or tried to continue with Erik ten Hag. But I think, personally, he had to get sacked. But what they then did was they didn't get somebody. See, this is why Ineos is a bit confusing, because they backed Erik ten Hag. I think the players that they got, you can use them in different systems with different managers. I think they're good enough players. So that kind of makes sense there. But what they did was they got rid of Erik, and they got in a manager that's totally different to what Erik was doing, and to what they were trying to build the game model around. And they've all of a sudden are like, well, we're going to do this new game model. Or maybe they were trying to do it under Erik, but Erik was trying to keep his job and get results. But they've definitely created this situation. They haven't made it good. They haven't helped Amorim. And what they can do is do some deals in January and help the manager and make it a little bit easier and a little bit lighter for Ruben Amorim. Amorim benches Garnacho and Meno, and you trust with the transfers, let alone Ineos. Come on. Well, Garnacho ain't performing, and Meno, like I said, Meno. I mean, what are we gonna do with Meno? Are we gonna play Meno every single game? Are we gonna burn him out? We don't have the squad. We don't have the depth. we lose Bruno to suspension, we lose Ugarte to suspension, and we're left with Eriksen, Casemiro, and Mainu. Now he subbed on Mainu after 30 minutes, but I don't think he wanted to sub on Mainu after 30 minutes. But he saw how bad it was, and he subbed on Mainu after 30 minutes. I think he was very reluctant to do that because I think he wanted to give Mainu a rest. Mainu needs to rest. Mainu cannot play every single game for the remaining season and play 90 minutes every single game. You're going to kill the kid. We don't have the squad, though. So it's like, what do you do? Garnacho, he ain't performing well. So you could bench Garnacho. I mean, Garnacho came on. Garnacho didn't do anything. So, and I like Garnacho, and I think Garnacho's a good player, but if you're not doing the things and you're not performing, my thing would be I'd be more concerned if he benched somebody like an Ahmad, because Ahmad performs and Ahmad's playing well and Ahmad's fitting his system. Garnacho is not. So, yeah. Axe says it's disgusting that you people want Eriksen sacked for being 8th, and now you agree with Amorim being on 14th just because they aren't his players. Wake up. Well, I don't know. You're not saying that to me, and you're not saying that to the others in the chat, because we didn't ask for Ten Hag to be sacked after finishing 8th. We backed Ten Hag after finishing 8th. We said, we were here after the season ended last season saying that he deserves another season. We wanted him to stay. You can direct that at the other people that were asking for Erik Ten Hag to be sacked. Fair enough, but that's not going to us or the rest of the community because we were all here for Erik Ten Hag. We decided to go Erik Ten Hag out pretty much right before he got sacked because we needed the end of it. Now, the situation is totally different. And for Amorim, and he came into a squad that was already playing bad. Would we maybe be higher? Sure. What were we really going to achieve this season? If we don't finish in 4th, then all the numbers under it, really, whether you finish in 14th or you finish in 7th, it's all the same to me. It doesn't really change anything. You don't get more money, you don't get less money, you don't get anything out of it. So, but we're going through a process that we need to go through. So, we're in 14th. I don't think we'll finish in 14th. I think we'll finish higher, but right now we're struggling. Yeah. So, Lyle's gone into listening mode now. HK says, I'm convinced the Glazers are laughing behind closed doors. Probably are. Why not? Ineos are taking all the brunt of the blame for everything. Nobody mentions the Glazers anymore. There's no Glazer out chance. There's no Glazer out protests. It's all Ineos. Glazers still own, majority of the club, more than Ineos. They still hold vast amounts of power, and nobody talks about them. So I'm sure they are laughing. Why wouldn't they be? So, they done exactly what they wanted. They've held on to the club. They've got somebody to come in, spend their money, and try and fix their problems. And they're taking the brunt of the responsibility for everything at the club now, while the Glazers sit in America, look at their bank accounts, and smoke cigars and laugh at everybody for being peasants or whatever they do. JM42 is here, says hello, and then says, do you like to eat KFC? I don't really eat too much fast food. KFC's good, though. I've had it before, yeah. JM42 says, why get Ineos to allow Glazers to make a lot more money? Why get Ineos to allow Glazers to make a lot more money? Well, I mean, it was really out of our hands. I mean, I think the fan base had a giant opportunity. I think the fan base blew it because fan base kept going to matches, and I think we had an opportunity to really make a powerful message. And if we emptied the stadium and we boycotted the merch to the highest degree the fan base ever has, I think we could have made a powerful statement, and maybe we could have influenced a different result. But we didn't. As a fan base, we didn't do the utmost that we could have. I think we could have done more. I think we should have done more, and we didn't. We kind of sat there and just kind of expected that Qatar was going to buy the club, because they had the most money, and surely the Glazers would sell, and it didn't go that way. So, and then people joined in, and also they were big backers of Ineos, and Ineos won a good portion of the fan base as well. So, yeah. Age cases, the current squad is like a ticking time bomb of the last 8 years, and that's essentially how I'm looking at it, and that's how I feel about it. It really is. Like, this has been a long time coming. This has to essentially happen. It does. Even though you don't want it to happen, it does have to happen because it is a culmination of bad operations over the past 8 plus 10 years. We haven't been doing the correct things as a football club. We were in a giant mess when Ineos stepped in. And we were in a giant mess when Ruben Amorim stepped in. It looked fairly positive, but it went into a mess under Erik ten Hag as well. So, again, you know, the only thing that we can do is address the problems at the club and try and rectify them and do what a proper football club would do. That's the only thing we can do going forward. That's the only thing Ineos can do. And again, Ineos' job is to get more things right than they do get more things wrong. I think they've gotten some things wrong. They've gotten some things right. And let's see what happens. We have a January market that we're in right now. Let's see what happens in here. Maybe they surprise us. Maybe they fucking disappoint us. You know, and then we got to see what happens with the rest of the season. And then we got to see what happens with the summer window. And these are things that they're going to be judged on. This is where they're going to get judged on. That's where they mainly operate, and the big decisions. So let's see what happens. We're going to take it step by step. You know, I think it's been real 50-50 with Ineos. HK says Antony would perform at any other club. Watch him perform elsewhere. I don't. Well, it depends though. Like I don't necessarily agree with that. I think he might perform somewhere else. But I don't think Antony would perform at a Real Madrid. I don't think Antony would perform at a Barcelona. I don't think he would perform at a Liverpool. I don't think he would perform at an Arsenal. I don't think he would perform at a Chelsea. He might perform at a Girona. He might perform at you know, a Real Betis or something like that. He might perform there. Sure, those are smaller clubs with smaller expectations. You know, and you know, outside the Premier League, the difficulty of the league might not be as hard, and maybe the style of play outside of the Premier League would be better suited to him anyway. So, you know, Eriksen and Casemiro don't have legs. Let's be honest. They don't. They don't have legs. We know they don't have legs. You know, Amorim, I think he was looking at something differently, but he realized, you know, they don't have legs and we're getting absolutely destroyed. And that's why he made the change that we made. Axe says, is it true that Ineos are cutting the money for the charity foundation? Well, apparently it is. I think number one, I think it's ridiculous. I think it's a disgrace. They shouldn't be doing things like that because that's on Manchester United. It also doesn't make a lot of sense because reportedly it's about 40,000 a year. And I don't see how cutting 40,000 a year is going to help Manchester United's situation when we're burning cash and doing all types of stupid shit. So, again, though, I would question if it's Ineos doing it, and if it is Ineos doing it, why are Ineos doing things like that? Because that's not technically a football operation, and that's what they're supposed to be in charge of, football operations. That's not a football operation. That has that has nothing to do with football operations. So either the media are writing that Sir Jim and Ineos are cutting it, or the Glazers are doing it and they're being blamed for it, or Ineos are doing it and there is something that is going on in the way that the club is being run that we are not aware of how it is actually being run. But I find it ridiculous that they're doing that, because that, I mean, it's completely on Manchester United, and we can't be doing things like that. So, listen, they've made some cuts that I agree with, that I think are necessary, that that I think, there was Manchester United was very overinflated with a lot of people that were there doing nothing. There's good people, there's lovely people, there's good people that work there, there's people that do an excellent job, and I'm sure of that. But I'm also sure that there were people there that did absolutely next to nothing, were stealing a wage, were helping the club in no way, and they were there for no reason. They needed to be cut. So there's certain things that they did were good that I cannot back. It doesn't make sense, and it's really stupid in my opinion, because the fans are not going to agree with that. So I don't know how they go about doing things like that, but um Lion says that apparently it seems like a badly run charity. Well, that I know nothing about. I didn't go into that much detail, so maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I would say though, the Lions, I would say, if it is a poorly run charity, what they should then do is get rid of that charity or stop funding that charity, create a new charity, and make it run properly and provide to those people that charity provides to. Because you shouldn't just take the funding out and leave them with absolutely nothing, even if the charity is run bad. That charity is set up for a good cause, and it helps a lot of people. It's not a lot of money. 40,000 is, in the grand scheme of things, is not a lot of money. A YouTuber can fucking raise 40,000 off of their stream with a big enough platform. They could raise 40,000 to donate to that charity. So I don't see how Manchester United cutting 40,000 to a charity is going to help Manchester United's financial situation in any way. That one doesn't make sense to me. Sorry. HK says Glazers need to remember they have our money. They don't make us angry. Well, yeah, they have our money. Now, one of the big things that I think can happen is supposedly there's some talk going on about the season ticket holders. And I was thinking about this the other day. And I'm like, well, the season ticket holders, well, I think every fan is important. The season ticket holders have one aspect about them that is very important compared to everybody else. And the season ticket holders is that season ticket holders are guaranteed money because they buy the season ticket and it's paid for and it's guaranteed. If the season ticket holders revolted, Manchester United are losing a lot of, and the Glazers specifically are losing a lot of very guaranteed money. It is a huge hit to their pocket, and that would become of concern. The big argument always about that is people don't want to give up their season ticket because they know that, or they feel like somebody else is just going to go and take their season ticket and they'll never be able to get it back. But if there's a large unified effort and message so that nobody does that, and lots of people leave out of that, that is a big stand that maybe the fan base can take. But let's see. There's murmurs going on. Nothing confirmed yet, but I found that interesting. Lion says, I don't know exactly how a nonprofit company runs, but the last few years they have been late by 250 days turning in their financial records and overspend by 20 or so K. Well, that I don't know nothing about. So JM42 says left wing back is the most important. Let's recruit new left wing back. Well, Manchester United apparently looking to get a left wing back, which is Nuno Mendes. That's high on the list apparently. So, and get more depth and keep testing Ahmad at right wing back. I like Ahmad at right wing back, and looks like he is getting better playing wing back. He looks comfortable, kind of. Well, I think he fits wing back. I think he has the work rate for it. I think he has the attitude for it and stuff like that. Lyle says, cheers, Eric, and all you Reds. Enjoy the rest of your New Year's Day. Happy 2025. You made it. Yes, Lyle, thank you very much. Lyle also has visitors. A lot of visitors. I wish I had some visitors. I don't got visitors. I guess you guys are my visitors. I'll take that. I'll take that every day of the week. You guys could be, you guys are my visitors. I'm happy to have you. So HK says Mark Goldbridge could save MUFC Foundation with one live stream. Well, he can. I think he's offered to do so. And so has a couple other people, like Terry Flewers from the Football Terrace. I would greatly join in that effort if we had a large enough platform. I think if we did it, it would sort of be for nothing. But you know, if I had a large enough platform, I would definitely be partaking because I think that, you know, it's just the right thing to do, and it can be done, and it's very easy to be done. And why not do it? The United fan base, that's what we are. We're here to look out for each other. So, you know, big up to the people that have those sorts of platforms that can do things like that. They should be absolutely doing things like that. And yeah, JM42 says, all right, we're not going to talk about Goldbridge in the United stand. It was a one-off comment. We'll leave it. We're on the Red Devils experience. Let's leave it at that. Axe says, any news on Olmo? I've heard that he is a free agent now. Well, HK says, we are your visitors. Yes, and I love that. HK says, I subbed and like to help you get on the algorithm. Thank you, HK. I greatly appreciate that. We've been here for almost a year now. It's been, you know, a bit of a struggle. It's up and down. It's part of the process. I accept that. We're here. You know, we battle. We're here live weekly. We do match recaps that we call the Red Devil recaps after the matches. We go live and we do match reactions and stuff. And we also do the news throughout the week. So we're here live weekly, for sure. Lately, I haven't been able to do a lot of Red Devil recaps because work has been getting interfering with those, and the times haven't been lining up. But soon we'll be back available to a better schedule and stuff like that. So glad to have you here, HK. We could use more people like you that get involved in the chat, and you know, obviously you see our wonderful community. JM42 is getting involved as well. So the more of you, the better. I'm here for it. I love it. You guys are all fantastic. So JM42 says Danny Olmo will like to sacrifice his playing career, missing out on 1 year, and rather than finding another club. That is pretty dumb, according to me. Well, that I haven't seen, but if that's true, that's pretty astonishing on my point that he would do that. Now, we got into a wonderful discussion, so we didn't even go into the topics that I really wanted to get into. I don't want the show to run to too long. I think we still have some time that I'm okay with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the topics that we had in the beginning of that I intended to go through. We last talked about Cobell. Now let's talk about Marcus Rashford. So Marcus Rashford's priority would be a move to Spain, but Barcelona, as we're talking about Danny Olmo, Barcelona do not have enough money to register their own players, aka Danny Olmo and somebody else. Never mind new signings, and Real Madrid have a host of attacking players already. Well, obviously, Rashford ain't going to Real Madrid. They don't need him, and I don't think he's been good enough for them to want him. Barcelona was a team or club that apparently was interested in Marcus Rashford, but they have financial troubles. They can't register players like Danny Olmo, and therefore I don't see how they would be able to buy a Marcus Rashford. Maybe you do a loan to buy. But I think that would still be shaky considering that they have financial problems. They might not have the money to do it even in the summer unless they sell to buy. So I don't know if you could do a deal like that. Marcus Rashford, it was reported that he wants to go to Spain. He was looking to go to Barcelona. That kind of seems dead in the water at the moment with the current situation going on. Follow that up with by Tom McDermott saying, a loan to buy for Marcus Rashford is currently being explored by clubs. As many as 6 clubs are interested. So this again is what I was saying, that we may be able to move players on like we did with Sancho in a loan to buy situation where we loan them for the remaining of the season and they get bought at the end at the end of the season or when the window opens in the summer, and you know, obligations to buy. And maybe that's our best route. And if that's what we need to do, then hey, let's do it, because we got to start moving. Ineos and Manchester United need to start moving. Now, there's a question mark over if Marcus Rashford is going to leave or not because of the things that we just mentioned. Now, obviously, there's a loan to buy. He wanted to go to Spain. Spain doesn't seem to be an option for him. The other clubs that are interested, we're not sure who they are because they haven't been listed. But I would assume that they're not in Spain, and if they are in Spain, then they may not be of high of a stature as Barcelona, for example. So Rashford went on his Instagram, and this might be a little small, but I'll read it out to you. He took up a screenshot of the story of the Sun that the Sun ran a story saying Marcus Rashford steps up a bid to quit Manchester United as he holds talks with agency who landed massive 86 million transfer move. He screenshotted that and then wrote on his Instagram and posted to his Instagram saying, there's been a lot of full stories written over the past few weeks, but guys, this is getting ridiculous. Never met with an agency and don't have any plans to. Now, some people are saying that this means that he might not want to leave. Some people are saying that he's just calling out this story of, that he's going to an agency and he's not going to an agency, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't want to leave. I think it's a fairly interesting thing that he's done because he's calling out this report, but he's also specifically wrote that there's been a lot of false stories written over the past few weeks. And the past few weeks would indicate from the timeline of when he came out and did the interview, basically alluding to the fact that he will leave Manchester United. He didn't say when he's going to leave Manchester United, but it read as if he's saying that I'm going to leave Manchester United fairly soon. It didn't read like he's talking about when I leave Manchester United in 3 years' times from now. Now, maybe he's walking it back a little bit because he can't go to Barcelona or to a big club in Spain, and therefore he realizes that his transfers are a little bit fucked. And now is thinking, well, if I want to get bigger opportunities, maybe now is not the time to force this move. Let me stick at Manchester United, try and fight my way back into the team, perform a little bit better, and then maybe I can garner up some better interest, and in the summer I will move. So there's some type of a question mark over Marcus Rashford. It's definitely been a strange development and a strange story because he came out and said that he essentially was leaving Manchester United. And I don't know what to really make of it, but it is developing very, very weird. And I guess we'll see what happens. So, yes. HK says, I am a music video editor, so I know about content creation. Oh, really? Are you? That's very interesting. Music video editor. Yeah. Well, that's good that you're here because maybe we'll be able to collaborate on some things in the future. I have a lot of ideas for things for the channel, and maybe we might have to use you, HK, eventually. So, and HK says, mail me, I can edit videos. And you really as well. Oh, you are a hidden gem, aren't you? I edit content in landscape, the vertical. Happy to help your videos. Well, that's very, very good. Yeah, I'm gonna write that down and I'm gonna keep that in mind. Because we do need to push out more videos in short form for the channel so we could get more push out there. And it's very difficult for me to do all of these things all at once with my regular life as well. So yeah, I'm gonna write that down. And I'll keep that in mind, and then we'll see what we can do. Let me take a screenshot of that so I don't lose your email. And yeah, thanks for that, HK. Appreciate that. Axe says, I wish that Marcus would leave on his terms and be happy somewhere else if he chooses so. That guy is so misunderstood and is being sacrificed by Ineos after years of mismanagement. They destroyed a great player. Well, okay. But also I think, he has to take some of the blame on that as well. Sure, there probably has been mismanagement of him. And I don't know. See, I don't know if it's really on Ineos though right now, Axe. I think this is a thing with Ruben Amorim, and I think Ruben Amorim has come in and basically was like, Marcus Rashford isn't up to my standards. And I think Ruben Amorim has dropped him out of the squad. And then I think Marcus Rashford essentially, instead of saying I'm gonna fight, pretty much said I'm gonna quit. And what options does that leave Ruben Amorim to do, other than to not make him involved? Because he's like, well, if you're quitting on me, then you're of no use to me. So I think he has been misunderstood many times in many different situations. But again, it's not just like his hands are clean. He has faults of his own as well. Jeff Hutchinson says, it's quite amazing how Rashford, a supposed Man United fan, can't run himself into the ground for this club. It makes no sense. And there is what I'd like to say is like it's like the overview of the fan base in a nutshell. You have people like Axe saying one thing, you have somebody else like Jeff saying another thing. I think both are valid, and I think both have truth to it. But I think it's not one way or the other. I think it's actually a combination of all of it together, and that is the full story. But what happens is when you go online, it's either red or green. There's no yellow, which is what happens in today's society. But I actually try to navigate in the yellow because I think that's the most accurate place to be. But I think you're both right in your own ways. And I do agree with both of you in certain sense. That's why I wouldn't say it's just one way or the other. But that's one of the things, and one of my criticisms that I would say what Jeff said is that one of the things maybe Marcus Rashford was mismanaged, maybe he is misunderstood, but at the same time, when I see him on the pitch, and I don't see the effort from him that I see from other players, and I don't see, and he disappoints me with that. I'm like, well, I can't. There's nobody else to blame but you for that. Why are you going on the pitch and walking? Why are you not running back? Why are you not playing your hardest? Why do you look like you're disinterested? Those are things like that. So we have a Liverpool fan in here. Liverpool has found our channel. We are in big trouble. Blatz has entered the chat and is singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." Well, you'll walk alone again one day. Don't worry about it. That's all I got to say to you, Blatz. You'll walk alone one day again. You will. You were walking alone for a very long time, So, good for you. You guys earned first. We were there for many years. And we'll return there one day. Don't worry about it. HK says, boo Liverpool. Yeah, definitely boo Liverpool. But, Axe says, trust me, Rooney had alcohol problems and relationship problems. He was brilliant under Sir Alex Ferguson's management. Look what they did to Rashford. Well, yeah, I think, that's a good point too. But, that's on the mess of the club as well. We haven't had a good dictation of people kind of protecting our players. We don't have a good environment for the players. We haven't protected them as much as we should and probably could. So again, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it's all Marcus Rashford's fault. I think there's things around the club that haven't helped him, but there's also faults of Marcus Rashford himself. And that's why I'm saying I always believe in a combination of things like that. JM42 says, no, brother, I'm never selling Dalot, but if he wants Real Madrid and Man United can get 45 to 50 million, then Dalot can leave. And this is what I'm saying. So, Blatt says, Happy New Year, bro. Respect, fun, and joy should football be. Well, Happy New Year to you too. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I would say good luck to you guys, but you guys don't really need it. I think the league's pretty much over. I think you guys are gonna win it. But at the end of the day, football is a sport where we can all have fun, banter, enjoy, laugh, argue. But it shouldn't be we should be able to be respectful to each other in my opinion. So I appreciate that, Blatz. You're good. hold on, because we're getting carried away now. I want to go back through these. You can keep chatting away, but I'll catch up to the chat after. I want to go through the rest of the remaining news that we have, right? So we finished the Rashford thing. Let me get to Casemiro. So Casemiro could also leave Manchester United in January or the summer window. That's followed up by not only Eriksen and Lindelof, because they were also names that may leave in January, but Casemiro could also leave Manchester United in January. The club must sell players in order to bring in new ones, and the Brazilian midfielder remains available in case of good proposals. Now, my mistake, I did not put in the update that came from or about Casemiro, about the Saudis. So I got to go find that because I just realized that I didn't put it in. So silly enough. So here it is, coming from Ben Jacobs, who's very credible. Ben Jacobs says, multiple Saudi clubs remain attentive to Casemiro's situation. Al Ittihad made the most concrete approach over the summer. Al Nassr, Al Qadiza are also interested. Al Hilal, you're killing me with the names. I can't pronounce them. Whatever, I try my best. Al Hilal are in the market for a holding midfielder. So there's about 4 to 6 Saudi clubs that are all interested. They're looking for a holding midfielder. Casemiro is a holding midfielder. They fit, what they technically go for. These kind of, I'm trying to be respectful here, but sort of kind of finished players or players that are at the end of their careers, right? That they can take from a Premier League, from, a Bundesliga, a Serie A, a La Liga, whatever it is. So, yeah, that is Casemiro. And let's hit dalot real quick as well, since JM bring it up, and I wanted to get to it. So Real Madrid are plotting a 50 million bid in January for Diego Dalot to fill the right back position as uncertainty over Trent Alexander-Arnold's intentions persists. This comes from Pete Hall and iPaper Sport. Now, I think that there is actually some truth to this. Now, whether they actually bid 50 million, maybe it's 40 or 35 or something like that, is another part of the story. But Dalot has been linked with Real Madrid for a numerous amounts of weeks now. It started off as a one-off. Somebody then later came out and said that story was false, and they discredited it. Since then, it's reappeared 2 to 3 times, and I think it has some truth to it, because I think Real Madrid, they want Trent Alexander-Arnold. Trent Alexander-Arnold is their number one priority. He is their top target. But I do believe that if they can't get Trent Alexander-Arnold for whatever reason, I do believe Real Madrid are a club that they do not have just one transfer. They don't have just one transfer prospect. They will have a list. And I do believe Diego Dalot is probably on this list. And therefore, if they can't get Trent out of Liverpool, Real Madrid is not one that they're going to sit about, because if they can't get Trent out of Liverpool, that means that deal is dead. Unless they get him in the summer. If I'm not mistaken, and it would be good because Blatz is in here actually, so you could tell us, is Trent in his final year of a contract? Can he go as a free agent in the summer, or does he have more? Since you are the Liverpool fan, you could actually help us out with this. Because if he can, he is definitely weak defensively, and they can have him. Blatt says, is he in his last year of his contract? Like, yes, he can go for free. So he can go for free, and that kind of puts a dent in this whole story, because unless they want one right now, and in that case, if they need one right now, then maybe they decide to go for somebody like a Diego Dalot, because Liverpool don't want to sell him right now, which I find kind of strange, because it's like, well, you could get some money from a player that potentially going to leave you for free, but that's their doing. They can do it. But yeah, I mean, let's see what happens with that. But that kind of puts a little bit of dent in it if they just want a right back. in general, because then they could just get him for free in the summer, and then they won't need Dalot. But if they need one right now in their current situation, like they need to get one in January, and Liverpool refuse to sell Trent to them in January, and they are desperate for right back in January, then they might go and bid for Diego Dalot. So let's see. Bayern screwed with Alaba and Cruz. Yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with that. Let me jump back to the chat. HK, I wish Liverpool were in the mud after Klopp, but they've gotten slot, and somehow they've gotten even higher than they did, under Klopp. Even though they won those things, but like they're performing at an insane rate. So, one-off season. We as United fans hope so, but certainly not the mud that we were kind of thinking was going to happen after Klopp left Liverpool. But again, kudos to them. They did what they had to do, and they got their decisions right. So, Avantino says, yo, why don't we sell 5% of our shares and get 100 million and get 4 quality players? Well, we should. But the Glazers don't give a shit about the club. And if you're talking about Ineos, they're trying to buy more shares and not sell shares, so that won't. And then I don't even know if you can bring the money in because of the FFP PSR, which I didn't mention this in the beginning, but FFP and PSR is kind of a load of it's kind of a load of shit. Like, yeah, it's there, and yeah, you gotta hit it, but you can sort of get around it in the manner that Chelsea did it, which is how United were doing it anyway. Really, in that you can sign a player for 60 million and spread the payments out over a 5-year period. You're paying a little under 10 million a season, so that PSR thing isn't as big as it is that they blow it up to be. So it's not really that big of a thing there. But yeah. Vlad says Amorim will be valued for safe in next Boxing Day if he is fit for Man United, and Arne the same. It's too early. HK says I feel sorry for Amorim, brave man. Well, he is. I mean, some people are saying he's stupid because why would you go to Manchester United? But I argue that you have to have some type of balls to walk into the situation that you walked into, and that you knew what it was. I mean, he was well aware of what it was. He knew what it was. And I think fairly so that when he sat down with Ineos and our hierarchy, I'm pretty sure he was made well aware of that. It'll be hard to get some players in January. He still accepted the job. So, I think he's confident in himself. I think he's confident that he can do the job. And again, he didn't have to do it. So I appreciate that he's come here and he's trying to do things. And I'm gonna back him. And I'm gonna give him as much time as I possibly can. It's far too early for me. Sure, it could be very bad. Sure, it could be embarrassing. But again, I don't think the process has started properly. We're in the midst of a disaster that has almost nothing to do with him. He hasn't created this situation. So I'm going to back him as much as I can. And I'm going to try and give him as long as I possibly can. I got to see some things, though, after certain points. After certain periods of time, I got to start seeing some certain things. But for now, we're in the infant stage of this. So let's just see what happens. So Axe says this is a big gamble if Amorim's system with new players won't work out. I think it is a big It is a big gamble. It is. It is, but I think we need to take a gamble anyway. This club's sort of built on gambles. I mean, when we were successful, we took loads of gambles. We need to do something. So, I think we take the gamble. We've been taking gambles for years, but they've been very bad gambles. So I don't know. But it could pay off as well, Axe. It could pay off. So let's see what happens. What happened with Aaron Wan-Bissaka will happen to Dalot. And what is that? That he's performing well at West Ham. Liverpool will have the same fate if not careful. Madrid has a way to take players like that for free. Well, Madrid have a very big pull. They do. It's the one club in the world that I would argue, even Manchester United in our prime, if Madrid came for one of our players, I accepted it. I always had said that Manchester United is the biggest club in the world. I support the club, of course. But I always accepted that, if a Real Madrid does come for your player, you are more than likely you are going to lose that player. Even though to you, there's nowhere else for you to go, you don't go to a Real Madrid because if you were in that position, you're already at the biggest club in the world. So therefore, there is no Real Madrid for you. But in football, if they come for your player, um, you're more than likely going to lose that player, and that's just how it is. And it's because of the enormity of their club and the success that they hold as well. They have the most Champions Leagues out of every club, so it's just they've had many great players. Some of the best players in the world ever in the history of football played there as well. So it's just a big pull. Axe saying sacrificing the low Rashford garnacho for Amorim's system, really. Well, but again, it can't. But what I'm saying is like if it's like I think you'll be right, Axe, if Amorim's system is just Amorim's system. But if it's what Ineos is going to build going forward in regardless of Amorim, which is the game model and the identity for Manchester United, then it might have to happen anyway. But if they're just going down the path of like, oh, we just have to do this for Ruben Amorim, and if it doesn't work out with Ruben Amorim, then we have to start over again. Then it's wrong. Then it's wrong. But if they've identified the game model as Ruben Amorim's system, and Ruben Amorim has his system, but there's many different variations of it that other managers play, and in the football, then we need to go down that path because we need to rebuild the squad in a proper way. I didn't enjoy necessarily the football that we played for quite some time. I didn't like the Ali football. I didn't. I thought the Ten Hag football was going to be a different football, than to what it was. And yeah, so I think we need to rebuild it into a modern style of play anyway. And it has to be attacking, and it has to be, it has to be a strong way of playing. And I don't think we've had that, so we might have to sacrifice some of these players. Yes, Madrid can take Manchester United, and well, they could take anybody's players. Madrid can play career mode in real life. Well, they've certainly done so in the past, for sure. Well, fair enough. Actually, he said he knew what it was, and I think he did. But you say it's being sacked for a fortune. I don't know. It's a little dark and sinister. I don't think he just was like, I'm gonna go to get a payday, because he could have went anywhere, and I think he could have got a payday anywhere. So, um, I think he genuinely wants to try and do the best. And I think he has something about Manchester United he likes, even though it's in a really bad place. I just find it very strange that he really wanted Manchester United. Like he must have some sort of an affection for Manchester United at some sort of level. So, um, and if it takes you till the team starts to play football, that's fair enough. I'm not going to tell you otherwise, but I'm just saying for me, I'm backing him now. And I'll probably be the opposite. I'm backing him now up until the point where, um, up until the point where if it reaches the point where it just seems like, you know, nothing is going to materialize, um or it's gotten very bad for a very long consistent amount of time, then you know, then we're going to need to change as well. But I don't want that to happen because I don't want to keep sacking managers. I'm tired of it. Tired of it. We need to move on. We need to stop sacking the managers. We need to build the squad. We need to build the club. um Aventino says we have no legs in our team. That's where every team in the Prem beats us. And I agree 100%. Our play looks lethargic if it isn't counterattacking, and I think that's one of the big things. And it's a very, I think it's one of the big things, Aventino. I think Manchester United, to compete, we need to transform the team into a team that has some of the best legs and isn't lethargic and doesn't play counterattacking. Um, in the manner that we've played it. But we have a squad built to that. And the only way that you don't have a squad built to that is you rip that shit apart and then you build a new one to a better identity and playing style. And that's what I'm hoping for. I think, like Axe said, it is a gamble, but I think at this point we ain't got shit to lose, really. So I'm, you know, might as well take the gamble. Might as well. Why not? I don't think we really got anything else to lose. We've been shit for 10 plus years. Why not? I want to get to a place where we play modern attacking football, strong football, have a strong identity. Um, you know, we know our style of play. We know what we are. We know what to expect when our team goes and plays matches. That's where I want to get. But we're not going to get there unless we actually go in and do some major surgery like Ralph Rangnick wanted us to do. You know, I don't think we did that. I don't think we did that open heart surgery that Ralph Rangnick alluded to. I think we have a chance to do it right now under this manager and under Ineos. They hired this guy. He wants to play a certain way. Do the open heart surgery. Do it. Do it. Let's do it and let's see what happens. Maybe it'll pay off. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll end in a failure. But at least we tried, and then we could, you know, be like, well, we gave that a shot, and that wasn't the answer. And let's see let's see where we could go from here, or what else we got to fix. I can't repeat that, X, because I'll probably get in trouble. But yeah, hopefully, well, fair enough. I mean, I've seen that on social media. I'm not advocating for any violence, though. So, um, Man United should focus on Europa. Well, I think we are going to focus on Europa. Blatz, I think we are going to focus on Europa. But there's the big argument of, you know, I see some of our fans saying maybe we should just stay out of Europe, for a season and see if it'll help us out and build the squad. Because we are in such a mess. I know other clubs didn't necessarily have to do that, but I think those other clubs, they were in a better position than us to fix their situation. We are in such a bad situation over such a long period of time that maybe a year without any type of Europe may be beneficial to us. The only thing that it's not beneficial to us is obviously you're not in the European competition, which is a letdown. But then also the financial aspect of not being in the European competition, which the club is hurting financially as well. So again, you know, you try to look for a win, and it's like every place you go to that you're like, well, that could potentially be a win, but there's also there's a lot of negatives here. So it's never clear cut with the position that we're in. We're in a very, very bad. But I don't think we can just like ignore the Premier League, kind of like what HK is saying. We need to just use every game as an opportunity to try and get better. We can't just be like, yeah, well, the Premier shot, fuck it, and then focus only on Europa. We got to use every game as an opportunity to try and improve the squad as a whole, the players, as much as we possibly can, as much as the players can. Win as many games as possible that we can, even though right now it doesn't look very likely, but sell our slow players and get injury-free players. Well, that's another thing. We need to stay clear of the injury-prone players as well. That's been something very bad that we've done as well. So recruitment is a big one. There's a lot of people that don't pay attention to Manchester United like we do, right? There's a lot of people that they don't know the situation around Manchester United. I have a friend that's a Porto fan, and he views things sometimes in a very basic way. Like, he was looking at our squad and how much our squad costs, and he was trying to compare it to like other squads, and he's like, how can your squad be this shit compared to that? And I'm like, because you don't understand the situation of Manchester United. Our squad can be valued at 10 billion, but the squad being valued at 10 billion doesn't fucking mean anything if you spend 10 billion on complete dog shit and not like an actual team. Like, if you just get a bunch of random players that don't go together, that don't fit any style of concrete play, and you overpay for every single one of them, and then the value of it is 10 billion. Like, okay, you spent 10 billion, and the price tag looks all big and mighty, but like, you just spent 10 billion on dog shit. So like, and he was like trying to make the argument of like, you spend all this money, and I'm like, yeah, but like, spending money doesn't translate directly to success, because you can spend money and spend it bad and then you fail. Like, it's like people that are born into money, and they piss it away, and they go bankrupt or something because they spend it badly. They do poor decisions with their money. Just because they have a billion doesn't mean that they're gonna make it into 2 billion. Sometimes they piss that billion away, that's why you got to do smart things with the money. We unfortunately did the option of taking the billion that we spent and we fucking lit it on fire. So, we overpay wages and fees. My theory always on that was the Glazers did that on purpose to inflate the value of the club, because they run it as a business and not a football club, which makes sense to me. But hopefully that's changing. I think the transfers that we did under Ineos, I think the fees were very good. And I think the wages that we pay are acceptable, and they're not high. And they're looking to move on players like Marcus Rashford and like Casemiro, who are some of the most highest paid players, if not the highest paid players in the Premier League, and they're not earning that wage. And there's players on Manchester City, on Liverpool, on Arsenal that are getting paid half of what they get paid, and they outperform them times 2, times 3. So, we need to do what we got to do. Yeah, we definitely been humbled, but again, this comes in periods. It comes in eras. Our club has gone through shit like this before as well. If you look through the history of the club and read up on it, there was periods where we were very good. There was periods where we were absolutely on the floor. And we always return at some point. So, that's the history of United. It's been like that. It's the history of many clubs as well. Liverpool has had high of highs, and they've had lows of lows. And so have other clubs. Through football, it's part of football. So let's finish this, because we've hit 2 hours and I didn't get through this, so I'm gonna run through this. So Antony to Real Betis, which is why I cheekily said, maybe he'll play better at Real Betis, because I knew this was here. Real Betis has shown interest in Manchester United winger Antony, who could leave United in the winter transfer window. The follow-up to that is Real Betis want to sign Antony on loan, but must offload Asane Diao before entering talks. Now, quick interjection, they have offloaded Asane Diao. He is going to another team. I don't know what team. But he has been offloaded, because this update was from a few days ago. So Asane Diao has been offloaded, and Betis would have to pay part of the wages, which are in excess of 150K a week. So Asane Diao is out of there, which has cleared space for Antony. Now we got to see if they can afford to pay 150K a week, or if they want to pay 150K a week. So he might be going on loan to Real Betis, maybe with an obligation to buy. So let's keep an eye out on that one. We had a small update about Victor Gyökeres. which is Manchester United will step up their bid to land Swedish striker Victor Gyökeres in this month's transfer window. Ruben Amorim has told the club bosses he cannot wait until the summer to get Gyökeres. That's coming from Crossy Daily Star. I think that one we'll take with a pinch of salt, because I think if we're going to get Victor Gyökeres, considering we're struggling for money, I don't think we'll be able to afford Victor Gyökeres. With the transfer fee that's going to be, that's most likely a summer deal, unless we make some sales, some significant sales, which will then fund that. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen in January. I think that's a little bit of you know, typical, not made up, but like typical, like overhype of a situation. So yeah, but I think we're definitely in for him. I think Ruben Amorim definitely wants him. He did say that he won't go for Sporting players in January. He previously said that, unless he's changed his mind or he lied. I don't think this deal can or will happen in January, but I definitely think it's one for the summer. And the last two, particularly having to go with strikers, is that Joshua Zirkzee has decided he needs to leave Manchester United sooner rather than later. Juventus and Bologna are ready to make offers. So it does, there's been a lot of stories around Zirkzee. It's been coming from Italy. I think his agency or his agent is trying to get him a move out of Manchester United. He's constantly being linked with different Serie A teams, which makes it seem like it's not coming from like a club or an Italian source per se. It seems like it's being fed from his agent trying to drum up some interest and get him to move out of here. I certainly think that maybe he probably wants to leave, especially after being booed at the Newcastle game, and I feel really, really bad for him. I don't condone that booing. I was actually very disappointed in the fan base for doing that to him, because listen, I don't necessarily like his playing style. It's nothing personal. I don't care that he's Dutch. I don't care that he's got, the hair that he has or whatever it is. I don't care about any of that shit. I don't like his playing style. I don't think it fits the Premier League. I don't think it fits what we need at Manchester United. I don't think it was a really great buy. It seems like a mistake of a move for him and for Manchester United. And I think maybe we should just cut our losses as quickly as possible, because it just doesn't seem like it's ever going to fit properly. And I would probably move him on. But just because of that, I don't think that he should be getting booed for getting taken off 30 minutes in. And he was taken off not because he was necessarily playing bad and he was the one that had to come off, but because our midfield was dead and he needed to move one of the players out of the midfield to put in Mainu to get some legs in there. And Christian Eriksen was moved up because he can at least create a little bit better than Zirkzee. Zirkzee was played there for other reasons, but I think it was really bad by the fan base. But I wouldn't say I'm like surprised, because we're in a very, very bad space. It's very toxic. It's very negative. So everybody's tired of the situation. Everybody's in a very negative place right now, in very negative thought processes. But I just don't agree with the booing of a 23-year-old kid being subbed off for 30 minutes. You don't have to like him. You don't have to fucking, give him a standing ovation for coming off. But I just don't see what the purpose was of absolutely booing him. I mean, I think he was almost in tears, and it just felt very wrong. It felt very wrong, and I wasn't happy that happened. So, and I'll tell you what, there's some players that have been here longer than Joshua Zirkzee that if anybody deserves to get booed, it would be them for the shit that they've pulled throughout the years. So I missed a large part of the chat, so. Blatt says sell Casemiro for a better DM and get a fit defender like Vidic of the past. Well, we definitely need more center backs if we're gonna play with three. We definitely need more mobile ones and ones that stay fit for sure. We're struggling in that area too because, well, there's a Johnny Evans, Lindelof. Is he still injured? I'm not sure. And then we have your Martinez, dalot, and Maguire. The depth in that area is not great enough at the current moment. We could play Maz there, temporary. We had Luke Shaw, we could play him there, but he's gotten re-injured and he's useless, so he needs to be sold as well. But we definitely need a DM as well that has legs, for sure. Avendino says I'm gonna spit some facts. Players we had with legs: Alenga, Sancho, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and Greenwood. Understandable, but was a great attacker. Well, I think Alenga definitely legs. Sancho, he has legs, but that whole situation was fucked, and I don't know. And Aaron Wan-Bissaka, yes, but it's not the positions that we really need the legs. We need the legs, the midfield. We need the legs, and we need wingers. To play the wing back as well with the work rate and the mentality and the attitude. We really only have Diallo right now in that wing back spot. So, X says at this point, I would like them to give the academy players many first team opportunities. Sincerely, we don't need a guy who cares considering his age. Our success will never be repeated, in my opinion. No, I mean, it's very hard to repeat. Wait, Xerxes wants to leave. Well, apparently so. It's been floated around for the past few days. He keeps being linked with clubs to Italy. It seems like he might want out. He has had a very bad time at Manchester United since coming. He was booed coming off against Newcastle, so I don't know. Aventino says what fans did to Xerxes was disgusting. Get those fans out of there. Well, yeah, a lot of people were very unhappy with that. But it sounded like a large majority of Old Trafford, which is, I was kind of surprised by that because that doesn't usually happen, and it takes a very bad thing to happen. Like when Rooney said he wanted to leave the club, and he was booed. But that was because he was potentially going to leave us to go to Manchester City. Like, Xerxes has done none of that. He's just come here. He hasn't had a good time. He's performed not particularly well, but that's about it. And it's his first season. He's only like 5 months into his Manchester United career, and then he's been booed like that. Like, it just was wrong. It was just really, really wrong. Really, really wrong. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't be a thing. And I think part of it is that like the fans they took their frustrations of Manchester United's situation out on one player. And again, we need to stop doing that. The problems in Manchester United is not one player. It is not Xerxes. And it is not Rashford by himself. And it is not Bruno by himself. Just kicking out this one player is not going to solve any problems. We played without Bruno. Rashford didn't play in the game. And we removed Xerxes. And we still lost the game. Sure, we played better, but we still lost the game at home to Newcastle. That did not solve our problems. We need to do a whole plan and project to solve our problems. So, Lindelof was another flop. Why is he still here? Santos Flow, welcome, says Lindelof been injured since April. No, didn't he play though? He came back and played, but I think he got re-injured. I'm pretty sure, Santos. Now you're making me question my reality. I could have sworn that he played at some point under Ruben Amorim, and he got re-injured. No, or am I imagining things? Somebody help me. Lindelof has had a poor injury record ever since he arrived. Axe says he's disgusted by the fans' reactions to Xerxes. Yeah, it was. It really was. Gray says if everyone fit my team would be Onana, back three of Martinez, dalot, Maz, pivot of Ugarte and dalot, wing backs of Antony, left, Ahmad, right, Menu, Bruno as the 10s, and Højlund as striker. Well, I think that's actually a pretty good lineup, Grace. For how we are right now. And I don't know about dalot in the pivot. I think maybe he could do it and maybe he can't. It would definitely be an experiment to witness and see. I wouldn't be against trying it. But Martinez hasn't been playing particularly well either. Dalot has been good and Maz has been good. So 2 out of 3 in the back's not bad, but we have a problem back there. And Yoro is still very young and has to develop. Ugarte's obviously grown into the role and into the shirt very, very well so far. Antony gives you that work rate. And I would want to see him on the left because he is completely one-footed, right? And he's solely left, so I would like to see him on the left. And Ahmad's obviously on the right, and he's been very good there. And Mano and Bruno as our 10s because Bruno's going to play. And I think Mano should play there as well because I think Mano can play there. And I think he probably better fits there. So, and Hoyland, I like very much. And I think he just needs better service. So, I'm struggling. I wish I had water, but I don't. But it's okay. Manu will get Nuno Mendes. Definitely. Amorim has family ties with PSG's ex-director. Well, apparently he wants to come. We want him, so hopefully we get him in, and I hope he just stays injury-free. That's all I would be concerned about. But he is a very good young player. He has the work rates. He has the speed. He has the legs. And we could use a player like that. So, Ray says most of the players are injured. Most of them get injured too much. But they've been here for quite some time. Except for the likes of like a Mason Mount, who was just a really bad signing. But you know, so Axe says, yeah, see, Lindelof played against Bodo and he got injured again before Christmas. See, I knew I wasn't crazy. So yeah, he played under Amorim. Okay. Lion says, mate, look through your comments and what you have said about players since you popped in to say hello. Oh, that wasn't to me. I thought that was to me. That was to Axelord. Sorry about that. I usually don't read your interactions between each other, so I thought you were talking to me, Lions. Gray says new position for my boy dalot. He inverted into midfield under Erik ten Hag anyway. Well, he did technically, right? He was playing converted. He was playing all right there too. It was just that hole that was being left in the formation. But yeah. If you're starting there and you're playing, then yeah. You follow me on TikTok too. Thank you, HK. I gotta get on there too. Again, you know, I have these pages created, but it's very hard as a one person, one man. I don't have a team. I don't have an operation really, to create content and do all that sort of stuff. But I made it a little bit of my New Year resolution to put more effort into this stuff. So I'm going to be doing clips, more content for the TikTok, a little bit of the Instagram. We got an X page, a Twitter page as well. I'm going to do shorter videos where I clip stuff from our long form and do 10-minute segments and put it to the YouTube channel as well. And for those of you that are new, we're going to be bringing in a call-in show. This was supposed to be done a little bit ago, but I haven't had time to work on it as good. So that is a plan that we're going to do, I would say, sometime during January, hopefully by the end of January. At some point, we'll have some sort of a call-in show, and we have some other things planned. But mainly, I want to get the call-in show first. Let's get that up and running. I think that'll be good for the channel and stuff. And HK says, I'm an editor, I have media connections. Well, that's very good. I have your email. I took a screenshot of it. So, yeah, we'll let's set some stuff up, and then maybe I'll send you an email and we'll discuss privately, you know, what we can do, what we can work on, and things that we can collaborate on and do stuff, and we'll see how that goes. But appreciate that, HK. That's very good. Very good, because I do need help. So, yes. Santos Flow says, just don't understand Amorim insisting on keeping Dalot on the left. Um, well, what would you have him do, Santos? Because I think right now, Malacia is very far off of it. I think he wants to play a defender there, even though he wants a winger to play the wing back. But you see the way we are suffering right now, and to play two wingers, um, would probably lead us to being absolutely just destroyed. I think he's trying to do a combination of like where he has like one defensive minded player, which would be like a left back or a right back playing in the wing back, and then a winger playing on the other side. So it's a little bit balanced. In reality, he wants two wingers, which means it's far more attacking, a little bit less defensive. But obviously, they have the work rates and they run back. But their mindset is not to defend first. Their mindset is to attack, defend second. Whereas if you have somebody like Dalot, his mindset is really to defend first, attack second. And I think he's trying to do a balance like that. Now, Dalot may be suffering because he's playing left and he's not comfortable there, and maybe he has to go back on the right. But Malacia is far off of it. We don't have Luke Shaw. Maybe you could say you could play Antony there, but Anthony's not a natural defender. He's a winger. And then you have Alman on the other side. So the only thing that I could see that you could do would be to put Mazawari there. But then if he puts Mazawari there, I don't see him putting Dalot anywhere else, because I don't think Dalot can play in the center back spot where Maz plays. And if he takes Maz and puts him on the left, and then he puts Dalot on the right, well, then Alman has to come in centrally and not play on the wing back. So there's just a lot going on there. So, HK says, I feel sorry that Amorim has such heavy weight on his shoulders. Well, yeah, it's a bad position to be in, but listen, he's confident in himself. He's carrying himself in a certain way, and I think he'll handle it very, very well. I think he's handling it the best he can right now. I feel bad more for like his record, his personal record, and his image right now, because I think he's been thrown into a shit show. And if Ineos don't help him, they've brung him in to let him and hung him out to dry, which I feel bad about. But yeah. Gray says a call in the show would be fun. You only need someone who has a lot to say. Well, I think we have a lot of people that have a lot to say, which is why I actually want to bring in the call in show, because I prefer voice to voice. Well, I prefer face to face, but you don't have to show your face. Voice to voice is good enough. I'm very grateful that all of you get very involved in the comments, and that's why I do my best to read out all of your comments as good as possible, because you guys are always typing away. But I think you could have better and more fulfilling discussions in a voice-to-voice interaction. So, and you could get the person's tone and the way they say things, and I just think it's a little bit more traditional in today's day and age, I guess. But like, I've always liked that better. You could text people, but if I want to have a real conversation with people, I call them up on the phone or I meet them in person, because I want to have that interaction. So yeah, I think we have tons of people that have a lot to say, which is good, because that's what we want. We want opinions. We want opinions. We want to hear people's opinions. We want to hear different viewpoints. And that's what this channel is. That's what we're trying to build it into, as massive as possible. And yeah, it's been a very good show. Very, very good show. Eric also plans on doing a cheese tasting live show while being pissed. Well, I don't know about the piss part, but we'll have red wine and cheese tasting. Aventino says Amorim focus now should be to get results. He can do preseason to lay down his system, since that was his original intention. Well, that is the main argument that is being said right now, right, Aventino? Like, if he changes his formation and tactics to get results, There are a lot of people, including myself, that don't agree with that because um, then you essentially have to start over when you get to the end of the season, and then essentially we'll be further back in the process because we're starting now. So if you started now and you do it from now all the way into next season, we'll be further ahead, which we're hoping or we think that it will benefit us in the long run while we are taking, you know, the hardship in the short term. Um, but other people like yourself, Aventino, are saying, well, like we need results and we need some points. And he should focus on trying to get that and then come in with his football. I don't know which one's necessarily right. Either one, I see arguments that make sense for both. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I feel like he should continue to do what he's been doing, but I can understand how it can lead and end up in a complete disastrous result. But I don't want another manager conforming to these players because it hasn't led to any success, any real success or stability over a long period of time anyway. So I just want to get the system of his style of play and the identity for Manchester United, start working on it now, and let's go and let's just progress on that. And let's start now. Line Aventino says, screw those people. Rich Kid says, my uncle supported them. He passed me down a shirt at 3. Now I'm still loyal. Well, that's what it is. You know, a lot of us are born into this. We may not necessarily choose it, but we're born into it. I would say, born into it from my father. He used to sit me down and watch the matches. My father's a huge Manchester United supporter. You know, from the time I was probably in diapers to matches I can't even remember. Then there's matches when I was 4 that I remember bits and pieces of it. I remember the celebration of 99, not understanding what happened, but I was 4 years old. So I remember the big celebration of it, but not understanding what we just did. And bits and pieces and like that. As I got older, obviously I paid more attention. Axe agrees with Aventino. Well, that's where the fan base is. We are split on that right now. So let's see. I think for you guys, I think Ruben Amorim isn't going to change it. I don't think he is. I think he's made that very clear. You know, whether who's right or who's wrong, whatever. I mean, for me personally, I never really care about that at the end of the day. You know, have your opinion and hold your values to whatever it is. But you know, it's not about I told you so. You know, we all just want what's best for the club. I have my opinions. I don't sit here and profess to say my way is the best way and your way is not. I don't know. I have my feeling that he should continue to do what he does. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to be a success. I don't know if it's right. Could be wrong. I could be 100% wrong. He could be wrong. And, you know, we could figure out that down later down the line. And you guys could be right now. But I'm going to stick with that. Lyle came back. That's how long we've been on. He left us. He came back. No, but you guys have been great. The conversation's been going on for quite some time. We ran so long, way over the time of the show that's supposed to be. I mean, we're on 2.5 hours. So, I'm gonna finish up your comments, and then we're gonna get out of here. And then we're gonna talk about when we're gonna go back live. So don't run away just yet. So you know when we come back live. But everybody has been absolutely fantastic. The show has been fantastic. Welcome to all the new people that have joined us today. We're glad you're here. Good to have you guys here. Everybody that's liked. We've had 32 likes. That's the most likes we've gotten in quite some time. So thank you to everybody that smashed the like button and supported the channel today. What a way, I would say, to start the new year. First stream of 2025. Absolutely fantastic. Really, you guys have made my day. You guys have made my day. So just thank you for that. Aventino says, so what if he changes? Is my idea. I don't No, fair enough. HK says my friends said that the staff who left were crying, devastated. The way the club is. Well, yeah, I'm sure. Again, like I said in the earlier part of the show, there's good people there that work at Manchester United that they they've 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 given their life to Manchester United. They care about the club. They're like us. They care about the club. They want the club to do well. And I'm sure there was some staff that were let go that are devastated with how the club is. They're devastated that they were let go. And unfortunately, those people were let go. But I'm under no illusion that there are people that there were people there that probably couldn't care less, were there for a paycheck, and we're not doing a good job. So unfortunately, um, what do you want to call them? Unfortunate casualties or whatever. I wasn't there in the process of the people being let go. I don't know what kind of reviews were being held, but I do know, some bad people were let go, and unfortunately, some good people too that really do care were let go as well for whatever the reasons were. Um, Going like this, we'll be playing 3-4-2-1 in the second division. No, I don't think we'll get relegated. I don't think so. I think we've hit a bad period. And we've hit a bit of bad form, but I think we'll figure it out a little bit. HK says send me your email, mate. I have a few ideas for content. Well, I will email you after. And I will write in the email, HK. And I'll tell you. Because I don't have what I need to do is I don't have like a per se business email for this. I have a personal email or whatever. So I'm not gonna give them my personal email on here, but I will email you. So I appreciate that. We love it. Let's make it 3 hours. No 3 hours. We'll have another stream, but thank you. Because I got things to do as well. It's getting a little bit late. It's late for you guys. I don't even know how a lot of you guys are awake or still up. Lion says I literally just downloaded it. Still need to make an account. Oh shit, you talking a lie? What are you talking about? Discord? Oh yeah. Get the Discord because we're probably gonna do the call in on using Discord. So if you don't have Discord, look into Discord, download Discord. If you haven't used Discord, watch a YouTube video of how to use Discord. It's not that difficult, but some people might not have Discord. Some people might have never used Discord. So yes, yeah, we're probably gonna do Discord. Grace is shouting out her Discord saying it's how the hell do I read that, Grace? A girl named Grace. So if anybody wants to add Grace, her Discord name is a girl named Grace. That's Grace is one of our moderators. Stephanie, our other moderator, just joined us. She's in here. It says Happy New Year's, Eric. Experienced Red Legends. Well, Happy New Year to you too, Steph. Always better late than never. Steph always joins us at the end of the shows, but it's okay. I'd rather have Steph come. We saved the best for last, so that's why Steph shows up at the end. Which is fine. I don't care when Steph joins. Steph can join in the very beginning. She could join at the very end. As long as she joins, she's here supporting. So, very good. Steph pointing out we got 33 likes now. Very good. HK says he is editing and watching me at the same time. Multitasker here. Very, very good. Grace says, Eric, please stop sending me emails about sending you dalot pics. It's getting too much. Oh, Grace. Grace, I need those dalot pictures so I could put them in more Real Madrid kits. You gotta send me the dalot pictures. I need it. MUFC Realist TV is in here. It says Happy New Year. Just joined to smash the like button. Well, greatly appreciated, MUFC Realist TV. Do you guys do you do your own content, MUFC Realist TV? Because another thing that I think I want to do is we need to get some maybe do some collabs with some other people that are okay with going on camera, or maybe have some channels and maybe get do a show with some different opinions, different types of content. So I don't know if you do that sort of stuff. You have 40K subs. Oh wow, very good. Well, yeah, do you guys have a way to contact you? Do you have like an email or something, or something like that on your page or something like that? Cause maybe we could do a collab show at some point or something like that. I'm just trying to do a bunch of different things. So and grow the channel. So I think it's you know, while people love listening to me, I think it's good to have as many voices and you know, different types of people. So we're looking to grow in that way as well. So yeah, if I could do that, that would be good. I would love to collab with some people. And you say you're always open to collab. Well, that's great. I gotta here. Let me write that down just to remember, because I'll forget if I don't. So I'll check out your page. I'm sure you have a way that I could get in contact with you in some sort of way to send you a message, right? So MUFC Realist TV. And I'll keep that in mind. And then I'll contact you in one way or another. I got a lot of work that I got to do. Steph says 36 likes. Yes. And let's just make sure I finished everything here, right? Oh, no. The last tab that we didn't talk about. Manchester United has scouts at Porto's win over Bavista at the weekend, where it is believed they were watching Samu Omar. Samu has been performing very well for for Porto. Uh, they signed him this season. I believe he has like 17 goals in all competitions so far this season. He's very tall, athletic. Apparently, we're watching him. Apparently, we're keeping a tab on him. I mean, we are interested in strikers. I think we have a list of strikers now. We definitely need another striker, especially if Joshua Zirkzee is going to leave Manchester United. We'll be back to just Rasmus Højlund, so we're going to need 1 to 2 strikers as well. I don't think we're going to go for him in January, but we are apparently monitoring and keeping tabs on Samu. So very interesting. I don't know how he would perform in the Premier League, but you know. Yes, on the channel description. Very good, very good. So I'll go into the channel. You know, maybe not today, but tomorrow or whatever. And I'll get in touch. And I'll make sure that you know it's Eric from the Red Devils Experience. So very, very good. Lyle knows him. Says, "Oh snap! Good to see you're here. Followed you through the takeover saga. Well, that's good that you guys know each other. And very, very good stuff." Stephanie says, "Like, subscribe, and comment." Yes. Axe wants Samu and Scalvini in. Well, again, the Scalvini dream lives on for us. They don't seem like he's a target, but I would make him a target. HK says, "I can help you grow as I know real famous artists." Well, HK, I don't know, maybe you're like a blessing in disguise that's been sent to us, because you know, it's you know, we need a little bit of a push. I do. I think we have very good discussions. I think we have good content for what we are as a small channel. I have some ideas that I think are very good, that we haven't, you know, haven't made yet. But I think they're a little bit different to the conventional YouTube you know, fan channel that I think I would like to implement and see. And you know, it's very hard to do all these things by yourself. You gotta have some people support you. The problem that I have is I don't want to say this like this, but I have a little bit of trust issues going out and trying to find people, because the world is very big and there's a lot of con artists out there, and I don't want to be conned. So I sometimes reserve myself to a shell and don't really put myself out there, because I'm afraid of getting ripped off or burnt or, you know, betrayed or stabbed in the back or whatever it is. So sometimes I'm a little bit reluctant, but you know, I can't be. I got to push out there. So you were a director first. Holy shit. You have 2 million subs. The low fan page. Disgrace. Just the 2 million? 2 million. Grace. Why are you telling us this now? Why didn't you tell us this? The low fan page. You have 2 million subs. MUFC Realist TV. Remember, football is a game of second halves. And so is the season. Keep the spirit high. Well, that's what we have to hope for. We have to hope for that we somehow find a way to turn it around. Amorim and the players included. And we're in a new year. Maybe we could get a new start, new chances. Let's see what happens. There's a lot of football still to be played. There's a lot of things still to happen. Maybe we could turn the fortunes around a little bit. We got to stand strong with our club, whatever happens. If we go into the depths of the lowest of lows, we'll be there because we're loyal and we support our club and we love our club. And if we improve and we make some progress, we'll be there too and we'll be cheering it on like we always have. So yes, absolutely. We need that Discord server, Eric, so we can all collab in a way and help this channel. Well, yeah, that's what I'm gonna work on because I got to do the Discord server to do the call and show anyway. So that's what I'm gonna do in the next like week or two. I should have all of that set up. Discord server plus the call in. I'm really gonna work on it. So yeah, I'm almost done with this job as well. So I'm gonna be working some crazy hours. So the channel, I might not be able to do as many episodes because I'll be working late as I would like. But we'll still be, live at least once a week. We'll be able to, do the things that we got to do. Aventino says he could be the project manager. Well, that's great. Used to be me. Used to be you, HK. Yeah, I know artists who support MUFC. Really, that's good. That's good. And MUFC Realist TV says keep it up, Eric. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to, and you as well. I'm working with an artist from the Old Trafford area tonight. Oh wow, that's good stuff. That's good stuff, HK. Good luck with that. And all the best to that. And Stephanie says, Grace, I've told you 2 million times not to exaggerate. HK says, remind me to set up Discord, mate. And Axe says, Lion says, Axe Lord can be your news researcher. His lines are, let's go. I've been in your shoes, keep grinding. No, I'm definitely going to keep grinding. I know it's part of the process. But you have a show like tonight where you remember that, it is part of the process. And you can get, you will get there. It takes a long time. I've seen a lot of channels. There's a lady out there, a female. Her name is Alice Talks Football. I believe she just hit 100,000 subscribers, if I'm not mistaken. I see her on some other channels. I see her talk. She has her own channel as well. 10 years. 10 years it took her to do that. So, Goldbridge, with his numbers, he's been around for almost 10 years as well. Obviously different numbers, but it is a process. It is a journey. It is not something that you have to necessarily do overnight. It is not something that you have to go absolutely crazy on. We are here on a journey, and I'm fairly confident. I like our community very much so far, and I think it's going to grow into one that's going to be absolutely one of the best and big and wonderful communities that there is, judging by the people that we have in here so far. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So thank you everybody for the kind words. Thank you to everybody for the support today. I do greatly appreciate it. Mick knows Alice. Yes, Alice. I know Alice. We collaborate. Yes, yeah. So Alice is good. I like Alice. She listen. I don't agree with everything Alice says. Sometimes she says some things I don't agree with it, right? But I do respect Alice. I respect her. She writes very in-depth stuff on social media, even in her videos, and she sticks to what she believes in. And I respect Alice. I think she's very good. Doesn't mean I gotta agree with everything she says, but I think she's fairly, she's fairly respectable for content, and I like it. So shout out to her. But I just saw that she hit 100,000, and she mentioned how it started. What was it, a One Direction channel or something like that? Then she switched it into a Man United fan channel, and it was over 10 years. She was like 14 when she started it or something like that. So just put it a little bit more in perspective into me. So I was good that it was good that she shared that, because it just helped me a little bit personally as well. Because I'll be honest, I was a little bit sad. Not that I was gonna like quit or anything, but I drive myself a little bit crazy because I'm like, we were hitting good numbers. We were looking like we were upticking. Then we started going what seemed like I would say backwards. And I know, it'll probably go down from this show, and then maybe it'll go back up at some point. But I was like, man, like, why can't we get like pushed a little bit more? Because I feel like the channel was getting pushed a lot less than we actually were before at some point, and I wanted higher from that point. And today has been really good. So, um, you know, that's all it is. I moderate for almost 1 million subscribers on United channels. It's a curse. Only joking. It's a pleasure. No, but that must be insane. So, Alice is a good woman. Yes. I don't agree with everyone though. No, you don't have to agree with everybody, but everybody can do it in a respectful way. Grace says not everybody can be as big as me, but keep going. Yes, your numbers would have gone up more, but I banned them all for their stupid opinions. Well, that probably that was something that I was thinking, that I was like, Grace must be banning all these people that are coming in here because they all don't like Diego Dalot as much as her, and therefore she's banning all of them. And I was great. I was pretty concerned by that, but yeah, at least you confirmed it for me. So new people, if you come in here and you want to stay in here, just say good things about Dalot, even if you don't mean them, because that way Grace won't ban you. No, we're only joking. You can say whatever you want, as long as it's respectful. I know exactly when it seemed to go backwards. I think you're thinking of a different thing than I'm thinking, but fair enough. Well, guys, listen, we've been here long enough. Today's been a really not that it has, Eric. No. Well, it's okay. It's okay. Again, like you guys said, it's part of the it's part of the process. Lyle's gonna get timed out for that comment. Well, listen, it's part of the process, part of the journey. Like MUFC realist said, he's been in his shoes. You just got to keep grinding, and that's the plan. I'm not gonna give up. I never will, never have. We'll be here, and I have all of you to help me as well, so I don't have to just do it alone. So thank you guys very much for tuning in today, for getting involved, for supporting, for smashing the like button. You absolutely smashed it. 35 likes, very big for a small channel like us. If you subscribed, thank you. We're trying to get to what the goal is right now would be 3,000. We have 2,800 and at least 70, maybe a little bit more based on anybody that subscribed that I'm not aware of right now. So if you subscribe, thank you for helping us out on that as well. Before you leave me, I just want to put out the schedule. So I'm losing days here. So today is Wednesday, yes? Today's Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday. Manchester United play on Sunday, right? The 5th, we play Liverpool. So, we play the 5th Liverpool. So Sunday, that's when we're going to be back live. We're going to do what we call, as our regulars know, or if you're new, we do a Red Devil recap is what we call it, where we go live after the match, we do a match reaction, we do live player ratings, we analyze the match, we break down the match, we give our opinions of the match. So we will be doing a Red Devil recap for the Liverpool versus Manchester United match. I have a feeling that it's not going to be a very good one. Unfortunately, I would like to not say those words, but with the way we are and where Liverpool is compared to where we are, I usually try and keep the faith, the positivity. But let's be real for this moment. I think we're going to lose that match. So it might not be the nicest of Red Devil recap that we could possibly do, but we will be there. I would like and hope to see all of you there, or as many of you as possible that can make it. It will be after the match, probably anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes after the match ends. And then going forward from there, I would have pretty much about maybe a week or so left of the job that I'm currently on. And then after that, we might have a little bit of more free time on our hands, which will be good for the January transfer window because all the transfer news will be able to do more shows more often. So I'll keep you guys updated as we go along. But for the next show that you can expect For sure, based off of my work schedule, will be Sunday. Against after we play Liverpool. The match is my time because I live in America. It's 11:30 a.m. to 1:15 or something like that. So we'll do a Red Devil recap, and then maybe potentially maybe we do a Sunday um kind of like topical show like this after the after we do the Red Devil recap. Maybe we do a 2-for-1. I'll let you guys know on that day, but other than that, it's been a very, very good show. What's the chat saying before we get out of here? Axe is having a meltdown about about playing against Liverpool. Stephanie says, please leave comments in non-live chat. Helps the channel algorithm. Yes, if you want to help us even further than you've already done, if you go on and you type in underneath the video, if you type in any comments at all, whatever you want to leave, if you type in comments, it helps the algorithm. I know it seems silly, but apparently YouTube likes this stuff, that if you get a bunch of comments under the videos, they're more likely to recommend the videos. So you can leave whatever comment you want, keep it respectful to a certain degree. But leave whatever comment you want under the video after the video has ended. I would greatly appreciate that, because she is right about that. It does help. Axe says the team has to show determination, fighting spirit, and team chemistry. Well, that's, I think, the very least that we can hope for. If we're not going to get a winning scoreline, I would like to see the team at least fight and battle, and really sweat blood out there on that pitch. Liverpool might be better than us. They might outperform us. But play as hard as you can and fight and do whatever you can. So Lyle says United might surprise us against Liverpool. A good few days in between. Wishful mind over here. Well, listen, it would be in typical Manchester United fashion to pull out some type of a surprise result against the team that nobody gives us a chance. Not even our own fans give us a chance. It would be in a typical current Manchester United times to somehow get some sort of result. I don't logically see it, but it has happened a few times already in recent times. So who knows? Maybe that could happen. I'm not saying there's 100% no chance, but I do feel like we're going to lose that match. So, but again, I want to see the team have some type of a character, fight hard, determination. Gray says 1-0 Liverpool, 1-0 over Liverpool. Dalot winner, Amorim out. 1-0 Liverpool. Wait, is he going to score an own goal, Grace? And he's going to get Amorim sacked. HK says 1-1, he reckons. I don't know. I could see 3-0 Liverpool. I think we would be, with the way we're going. Listen, I don't know, because they play an expansive style of football, right? So maybe it's to our benefit, because we certainly struggle against teams that do the low block thing, are very compact and make it difficult. When teams play open, we do tend to score. So I think maybe we could get one, at least one, or maybe two. I just don't know how many goals we can stop Liverpool from scoring. So because they've been in very fine form. So and they've just been absolutely just tearing it up. So I don't know. Dalot to stay, Amorim to return to Portugal. Says Axe. Well, I hope not. Because that means that he's failed and we failed again. Again, I'm done sacking man. I don't want to sack managers. I don't want to get to the point where we have to sack managers. Let's not do that. HK says, and you guys keep grinding. Yes, absolutely. Big up HK, Lion, and Axe, says Stephanie. Gray says, put your favorite type of pasta in the comments below. Listen, if that's what it is, do it. Go ahead. Yeah, why not? Put your favorite type of pasta down below in the comment section. Lion says my water is feeling funny again. I think we're going to win on Sunday. Well, the last time Lions water was feeling funny, we ended up beating Manchester City. So it's in the water, and in the water we trust. So the magical water. Yeah. Listen, if we get a result, we're gonna have to start analyzing that water a lot more. Because there's something very special about that water. I don't know. Steffi says hindsight is a wonderful thing, but so glad we beat City. Hey, at least we beat City. At least we beat City. We added to their downfall a little bit. Make me lose my breath. Make me water. Come on, United, says La. Do we try to man mark Mo, or at least nobble him? I don't know if you man mark him. A good question, Steph. I don't know how you deal with Mo. Maybe you do try to man mark him, but you need somebody. You need somebody to. They have to be on top of the game if they're gonna man mark Salah, because they make one fucking mistake, they slip up in 1 second, and then that's it. Like, he'll be free and he's gonna score. So maybe you make it part of the team plan where we be compact as possible, but you also have a person man marking. That way, if he slips past the man mark, we should still be compact enough for him to, not have the space that he would want. I don't know. But Amorim, that's his job. He's got to figure that out. Axe says they didn't say a chance against Newcastle, and Newcastle played very well for 30 minutes. Liverpool will play at least as good as Newcastle did, but for 90 minutes most probably. Well, I knew that we were going to lose to Newcastle. That's I said it previously. I knew. I think a lot of people knew. We had a feeling that we would lose that match to Newcastle, basically the way we're performing. And I have the same feeling against Liverpool. But hopefully we get a miracle. Ray snobbles on the low, apparently. Ray says we have to stop giving the game and stop we have to stop giving the game away and stop chasing the game. Well, that's one of the things that we definitely have to work on. Because I think in certain periods we're actually doing all right. But what we're doing is we're conceding on these moments, and we give the game away, and then we're chasing the games, and we're making it more difficult for us. But on other parts of the match, we actually do all right. It's just the fact that we are conceding these shit goals off of shit situations, or shit mistakes. Like, that needs to stop, and we will be in a better place to potentially go and win a match and get something out of a match. So, players forgot what man marking is at Man U. Well, yeah. Grace says just drop kick him. Hoyland is a wrestler, so throw him around. Ray says he likes rigatoni for me. Not this comments. The comments after we end the show. Steph says back in the day we used to sing Andy Gray, Everton walks on water. Everyone knows Doggy do float. I had no feeling anymore at this time. Well, yeah, I think that's many of us. I kind of am the same, right? So, United must end this goal drought, if nothing else. Actually playing better away from home. Yeah, that's another thing. Listen, guys, I gotta go because I'm dying. You guys have been fantastic. You still chat away. You're trying to keep me here. I know what you're doing, but I literally can't continue. I can't continue. I'm still a little bit sick. My nose is stuffed. I can barely breathe. I gotta go eat dinner. I gotta go do things. Grace says she likes spaghetti, and if I do well this year, I look like spaghetti too. That is the quote of 2025. Love it. She says, I like spaghetti, and if I do well this year, I look like spaghetti too. That's what we need. But listen, guys, we will see you for the Red Devil recap. Everybody take care. Be safe. Again, thank you for the support. Massive support today. Again, I'm really grateful. And I'm just, I can't thank you guys enough. So thank you for carrying the show. Getting involved in the comments and in the chat as much as possible. If you want to help us one last time, if you didn't like and you didn't subscribe, do those things, and then get in the comments section under the video after the live has ended. Leave some comments down there and help us with the algorithm in that manner. But you guys have been absolutely amazing and absolutely just fantastic. So again, I appreciate you guys so much. Take care of you guys. I hope for the best against Liverpool. We'll chat and we'll see each other and we'll talk to each other after the match on the Sunday. Everybody else, take care, be safe, and we'll speak very, very soon.